everybody. This is William Del Pilar, and welcome to the Blindside Blitz. And it is a big night tonight. It is NFL draft night, and I got to be honest, folks, this is the first time in many years, I think, that I've been involved in any kind of a draft show since my days of pioneering the fantasy sports industry. Yeah, I had to toss that in there, give myself and the show some gravitas. But we got a great co-host coming up. He'll be taking over after the first 10 or so picks, but I'm here to help him out, and that is Big Joe DeCapita. I don't know if he likes being called Big Joe, but he looks like a Big Joe to me, and he knows his football. He's going to be here to break down the picks for us, and then we are going to welcome Rodrik David. Rodrik David, former NFL scout, came up through the tight end system, if I'm correct, and then went to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Rodrik, he's the man. He stood up for his rights and his values, and now he's out on his own, and he's doing well, and he's performing, as William Shatner would say, he's boldly gone where other scouts won't go, and that is straight to the kid who wants to make it. And he's going to be on hand after about the 10th pick to break down what's happened, you know, the pros, the cons, the winners, the losers, and then he'll be on for the rest of the show to break down the rest of the picks for the first round. And then we're also going to have Eddie Aparicio. Eddie is one of the fantasy sports pioneers you've never heard of. Why? Because he was behind the scenes, but he's been around football for many decades. He will be on hand, talk a little bit football, talk a little bit of NBA basketball for the fans out there, give us a taste of his own podcast show. And then we're going to welcome JJ Stokes, former top 10 draft pick for the San Francisco 49ers, went on to win a ring with the New England Patriots, who right now are embroiled in some controversy. And if I'm correct, Mike Vrabel should have already spoken or is speaking as speak. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. We don't want to get into soap opera drama of it all because we're here to talk NFL draft. And I know Big Joe, that's what he wants to talk about. So with that, let us bring him in. I know he is excited to be here. There he is, people. Big Joe DeCapita.
Let's go, baby. It's draft day. Buckle your chin straps. It's time to go. I'm excited, man. This is happy Draftmas, everybody out there. I know this is the time of year in the NFL where every team, that's right, every team can get a little bit better. Or if you have a terrible team, you're just going to continue to be bad. But this is one of those opportunities in the offseason that you can better your team, upgrade your certain positions that you look to upgrade. And, Will, I got to tell you, I'm fired up, baby. Let's go.
Hey, that's the name of my podcast, Fired Up, for all you political aficionados out there. That's what I love doing now, is talking politics. But this isn't that show, but I had to give myself the plug there.
Had to put it in there.
So, Joe, off the top of your head, Big Joe's the one who's been following this. I've been doing a lot of cutting and a lot of editing for the company.
Absolutely.
And so I've become familiar with some of the names on there. But, Joe, who's likely to go number one?
Honestly, with the Raiders picking number one overall.
I'm sorry. Duh. Who's likely to go number two then? Yeah, you're right.
Number two to the Jets. That's the thing that's going back and forth. There's been a little bit of a badminton play in the front office for the New York Jets. Some people really like David Bailey to come in from Texas Tech to be that pass rusher, that edge rusher that they've been sorely needing. And then also on the other side, some people are kind of looking at maybe Arvell Reese, the big-time linebacker. Some people think he can convert to pass rusher and be that edge. But I got to be honest with you, Arvell Reese, even though he's a dynamic athlete, super elite traits, he could do everything. But he hasn't been asked to play pass rusher. In his college days, he's been a linebacker through and through. I think he can be an all-pro linebacker at the next level in the NFL. Yes, he has the potential. If you develop him, he can be a good edge rusher. I like to utilize him because he's so versatile as a linebacker. You can blitz a linebacker whenever you want. Pass rusher, you're kind of like putting him in a little of a box and saying, here, this is all we want you to do. So I hope if the Jets do go that direction with Reese, that they keep him at linebacker. You can slowly develop him as an edge, throughout the season. But also, Bailey. Bailey's also a guy. He's got elite traits as a pass rusher. That's why we're talking about him with the top 3 picks here. Who's very quick off the ball. a guy who has size, 251 pounds, about 35-inch arms. They're like tree limbs. Well, they're like tree limbs. You can just stick them right out there and put them in the chest of these offensive tackles and get around them. So I'm pretty
Whoa.
prospects.
Speaking of tree limbs, talk to me about Ua Bernard. I took a look at that guy and I was like, oh my God. The last time I saw somebody like that was, oh gosh, I should know the name. He was projected to be a running back. He went to the combine. It was at the Senior Bowl. And this guy looked like a Greek god. It's like he was chiseled. He ended up becoming a fullback for the Jaguars. Didn't pan out as running back, which means, hey, looks aren't everything. Talk to me about Bernard.
Yeah. Ua Bernard is a very intriguing prospect. A guy who doesn't have a lot of football experience per se, but a guy that he's 6'5". He's 306 pounds. Like you mentioned, tree limbs. The guy is very long, lean, but he is chiseled. Let's not get it twisted. We're talking about a 300-pounder that has 6% body fat. That's insane.
Exactly.
So the athletic traits through the roof. The guy can jump out of the building. The guy has tremendous burst and speed off the snap. I don't know how NFL teams view him as, but what I'll tell you this is he would be a great developmental player because of the lack of experience. I expect him to be more like a early day 3 type of pick, but man, oh man, you got a nice player with all that athleticism that you can convert to potentially be a huge threat in the pass rush game.
And for the fans out there, the Raiders are on the clock, and we fully expect them to take Fernando Mendoza. As Billy Crystal would say, that's a marvelous name, Hey, and we got him in here a little bit early. We have him slated to come on after the first pick. I technically meant the second pick because we all know who's going the first pick, but the fact that the Raiders are still on the clock or hasn't started, maybe just the clock going. What time does the draft actually start per se?
Draft is supposed to start 8 p.m. So right now they're on the clock. So they did start. They're 7 minutes in, and we're just waiting to see what happens, which is interesting because you got to wonder about these first overall picks too. Does the NFL ask them to kind of bleed the clock a little bit, build up some suspense a little bit here? Or are they really on the phones and listening to some offers? Because you know that there's a couple of teams out there that are desperate for Fernando, maybe to at least just listen. But again, you would have to pay a king's ransom in order to get this pick out of the clutches of the Raiders.
Well, let's bring a king in. Let us bring in the king of basketball here, Mr. Eddie Aparicio. Oh, look at that. Looks like Eddie doesn't want to come in. A little bashful there. Yeah. There he is.
What's up, guys? What's happening? What's up, Joe?
What's going on, brother?
All right, man.
Real quick, Eddie.
What's that?
Is Fernando Mendoza the real deal?
I saw him play, and he looks pretty dang good, man. I mean, we shall see. I mean, he's definitely probably the best Latino quarterback since Jim Plunkett, right? So
he looks like me.
Yeah, he's a Cubano.
Like you, Eddie. He looks like me.
Yeah, he doesn't look anything like me. He looks like you, but yeah, he's a Cubano. Hey, look, I'm pulling for the kid, as a fellow Latino myself. So I think he's going to be a good player. Whether he's going to be worthy of a number 1 pick remains to be seen, but I think he's going to be good.
I got to be honest. I don't care the fact that he's Latino, but in this political world, I guess I'm supposed to say, yeah, I got room for La Raza there. I actually admire the fact this kid was a nobody, a nothing. Mama, who was an all-star athlete at the University of Miami, went there. Can you take a look at my boy? No, señorita, we don't like your boy. And he went on to, I want to say Cal State. Was it Cal State he went on? And then from there, he transferred over to Indiana. And in one of the most exciting college national championship games since Jimmy Johnson's Miami Hurricanes that went down to Penn State. That was a hell of a showcase to show what heart, grit, and desire can do. Tell us a little bit about him, Joe.
Yeah, Mendoza's been a guy that I've followed for quite some time throughout his college career, coming from Cal, going to Indiana. And here's the crazy thing is the University of Miami didn't want him, right? Like, this is a guy who was born and raised in Florida, in Miami, had dreams to be a Miami Hurricane. It never happened. But then he just decided to move on. Like it's you can't just sit there and pout. He decided to move on. He has an opportunity with a low-end school, transfers to Cal, then transfers to Indiana. This guy throughout every progression, every team that he's been on, 3 different offenses. He's got the mental capacity of freaking anything you could ever imagine. The guy is like super football IQ to the max. And for a guy that is a pocket passer at 6'5", 236, he has a very strong arm. I don't care what the naysayers say. This guy can make all the throws. He's got more mobility than you expect. And Fernando Mendoza is the absolute right pick for the Raiders. They have selected Fernando Mendoza as we speak. So there you have it. The Raiders get their first pick, and it is done and nailed.
With the marvelous pick. I'm going to say that all night with Fernando. I think of Billy Crystal and that cheesy Saturday Night Live character he created. So Eduardo is, we may be joined by Twan. I call these 2 guys my 2 Latino enforcers. When Grumbling's Media is traveling, I'm going to bring them along.
Right on, brother. Yeah.
Eddie doesn't have the glasses on. So the glasses, he's Eduardo Kent. Takes him off. He's my thug Superman.
Hey, it looks like Twan is going to be joining here. So the full Cisco kids contingent is going to be here. So and there's my cousin who says go Raiders. Look at that. My cousin Lewis. Go Raiders. Had to just say something, huh, Lewis? God, that
go Raiders, baby.
Stings. That word just stings my eyes, man. Raiders. Anyway,
I gotta be honest. I thought that was your father, Eddie, with the picture.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a resemblance for sure. So
we got Anthony here. We got Jesus and Eddie here. I told Anthony the other day.
I prefer Jesus, please. Let's stick with
Jesus. All right, guys. So real quick, before we get to the next pick and before Joe continues to break down, tell us about your podcast, The Buzzer Beaters. And you guys, I love doing the covers when the Warriors are struggling because I love doing those crying faces. Talk to us.
Oh, yeah. Dude, and AI just mutilates my face, man. God, it's horrible. Just how badly I look in those things. But anyway, so Twan and I go way back. We've known each other since sophomore year of high school, and we both knew each other. And we've been getting together, talking hoops on our own for years. Just to get together. And anytime we get together to have lunch, we talk about hoops. So when William, you had asked me, hey, do you have somebody who could talk hoops? Because you and I were doing this. And, I guess you weren't following his hoops as closely as me. So you're thinking, hey, I think the show would benefit if you find somebody else who knows hoops more than me. And Twan and I had been doing it for years. And, and you brought us on, and now you branded us as the Buzzer Beaters. Good name. And then, Twan and I being both from San Francisco, we dubbed ourselves the Cisco Kids. And we were hoping we could use that war song as an intro, but I guess there's licensing issues. We can't do that. But if you like hoops, mostly NBA is all we talk about. This is our show. This is your show to listen to. We're here weekly. We break it up in 2 segments. One of them is going to be dedicated to NBA, walk around the NBA for all the other teams. And the second one is going to be Dubs talk or Warriors talk when we talk about our team, the Golden State Warriors. So Twan, anything else you want to add, brother?
Well, tell us a little bit, guys. Mendoza just got taken before we go to Joe. Talk to us real quick about 1, the NBA playoffs. Who's going to win it all? And 2, is Steve Kerr, who I do not like. I think he's trash, but he's a great NBA coach. He's a great NBA coach. Talk to us. Is he gone or is he going to stay?
So from my end, I think he's gone. I don't think he stays. The only way that he stays is if the players revolt and keep him on there. But I think if it's up to Lacob, they're going to let him go. In regards to the playoffs, Eddie and I did kind of our prognostication, if you will. Eddie went with the Spurs. That's before Wemby landed on his noodle and is now looking at Tweety Birds. And I picked the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were last year's champions. So I still feel pretty confident in my pick. I still think they're the team to beat. As for the Spurs, I kind of low-key hope the Spurs win it. I'm a big Wemby fan. I'm a big fan of the San Antonio Spurs organization. So I do hope they win, but, I kind of thought with my head, not with my heart. And my head tells me the Thunder's going to pull off yet another championship.
Oh, yeah. Eduardo. So when Wemby came on the scene, and for those of you who don't know, he is a Frenchman. We will not hold that against him. However, like a Frenchman, he's pretty fragile. And that was one of my concerns when he came into the league. He reminded me of Ralph Sampson, tall, lanky, wiry, great game, but could not make it in the NBA because he was just too fragile. That's what I kind of see in Wemby the last couple of years. He's missed almost 70 games, Eduardo. Talk to me about Wemby and the Spurs.
Well, Wemby is definitely a transcendent player. Tuan and I were just talking about, we had lunch today, and we were just talking about, like, God, are we really going to see this guy, play his full career? Are we going to see, him stay healthy the entire career? Because, he has been somewhat, I don't want to say injury prone, but he's had some bad luck in his first 3 seasons. And he's now he's going to be the reigning defensive player of the year. And, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy also.
Eddie, hold on. Yep. The pick is in. Do we know who the pick is, Joe?
It's David Bailey.
David Bailey. I'm sorry, Eddie. We'll get right back to you. Talk to us about David Bailey.
David Bailey, like I was mentioning earlier in the show, guy who's just a pure speed demon off the edge, pass rusher galore. He's got a lot of pass rush moves. I like for him to kind of extend that attribute that he has, that he can be able to kind of build off of and get more pass rush moves, more tools in the shed. But at the next level, he'll be taught that. But he's got tremendous speed off the snap. The guy has enough strength. The guy can make big time plays in the backfield. I'd like to see him get a little bit better with run support, but that's going to go hand in hand with the coaching that he's going to receive at the next level. I love David Bailey as a pure pass rusher, and the Jets obviously love him too.
Well, I think players go to New York to die. Real quick, Eddie, wrap up Wemby, but tell us, do players go to New York to die?
Do players go to New York to die? Are you talking from the football perspective or from the basketball?
Of course. Well, both. Actually, they haven't won squat since what, 1972, 74? Come on now. Just because you get close don't mean you get the ring, brother.
It's the biggest, supposedly the biggest market in the U.S. for
it is
right. And even though those franchises in New York, haven't won, a Super Bowl in quite some time, they still get a lot of spotlight and a lot of attention because they're in the biggest market. The New York Knicks, they're actually starting to play pretty well recently, and they're now, they're playing a game right now and losing to the Atlanta Hawks. But they are probably the one franchise that shows the most promise to be able to win something sooner than the other franchises. So that would be yeah.
Okay, let's not forget about the Yankees, gentlemen. Let's not forget about the Yankees. They win more than their shit.
Well, yeah. You're right. The Yankees.
Well, let's be honest here. Gentlemen. Jesus and Eduardo, we were walking in our little clothes. Joe, were you even in diapers when Joe Namath won the Super Bowl?
No. Yeah. When was that? Was that 19? When was that? What year was that? 1969?
Late 60s. Yeah. It was late 60s. I don't know which year, but it was the late 60s.
Yeah, I was late 70s. When I was born.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts here, Joe? This is your show. We've kind of taken it over. Real quick, before we let these two guys go here, any thoughts going into the first of all, to the guys there? Eduardo here is an old fantasy football behind-the-scenes legend. Why do I say that? Nobody in the public knows who he was, but in the industry, we all knew who Draft Board Eddie was. Tell the audience a little bit about your gravitas that allows you to comment here. I mean, Jesus can comment on anything. He's Jesus.
Yeah, so I met William over 20 years ago, and at a fantasy sports trade association that was happening, various locations, sometimes in Vegas, sometimes in Chicago, sometimes elsewhere. And I got to a chance to vibe with William, and I actually was new to it, and I was there to promote my company, commishkit.com. It's a draft board company that my brother-in-law, who still owns the company, is still operating the company, is still doing it since 2001. So that's when I first started kind of talking to different people. I'm a salesperson, as in my profession in Silicon Valley. So, I've been able to kind of drum up some good relationships over the years. And I used that skill set over at the Fantasy Sports Trade Association and got a chance to promote our company as well as Stefania Bell, physical therapist,
ESPN fame.
analyst at ESPN. It was through our efforts, William and I, that she actually got to the point where she's at right now at ESPN. So that's kind of the behind the scenes stuff that you would, probably a lot of people don't know about. That all happened because of our efforts. So.
All right, you guys are in the Bay Area. Who do you hope San Francisco takes? Or have you even thought about that with basketball so heavy?
Go ahead, Twan.
Well, for me, I been focusing on hoops, so I haven't focused as much on my Niners as I would normally. But I'm a believer in the line, the defensive line, the offensive line. I'm also a believer in taking the best available player. But if all's the same, I think we need an O-line. We need someone to protect Brock Purdy. We need something along those lines. We just paid Trent Williams a whole bucket load of money because basically he's holding us for ransom because we don't have anybody to fill in for him. So in my opinion, let's start building up that O-line. But again, if there's a player out there, a wide receiver or some kind of player that can generate, that's a better player, then I'd say go that route. But for me, build the O-line, build the D-line. That's where you start. That's where football is won, in my opinion. And so we'll see how they do.
I agree. And Eddie, I truly believe that the 49ers are going to regret paying Trent Williams that much money, just as they regretted paying all these receivers. Why? Because they can't win the Super Bowl without depth because they're always injured.
Yes.
So when you got these 2 or 3 big salary hits, which they've always had, especially with the receivers aren't superstars. The quarterback makes them superstars. Ask Justin Jefferson how that worked out for him. So and let's be honest, those boys got lucky. Big Joe, did they get lucky with that? Gave up 3 number 1 picks in the Dolphins or something to get that young kid out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance. I mean, it's not like they got a great track record. They just got a great coach, and I'm not even a fan of the Shanahan's.
I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of that move at all. I think they gave up too much, and honestly, pre-draft process, I thought they were going to go with someone different. I honestly thought they were going to go with a different quarterback there. I know that they really liked Mac Jones at the point, and I was just kind of surprised in the fact that they went with the decision that they made. I'm a little distracted right now because as the clock is ticking down with 1:20, Arizona
the pick is in for the Cardinals. Yes. So we're going to say goodbye to Eduardo and Jesus there. You can check out their podcast at Grumblings Media, our YouTube channel, or Rumble. Grumblings Media. You can check out their podcast, and we look forward to seeing it. I enjoy working with these guys. Any final words there before we let you go there, Jesus?
Go Niners, and looking forward to what they do. I would argue with you the Niners have a great draft record when it's the 4th round and beyond. It's the first 3 rounds they see.
No argument there. No argument there.
Yeah, I would argue a little bit on that front, but yeah, hopefully they have a good draft and. Love me some football, so I'll be watching.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to say the same thing. Twan, you took the words out of my mouth. Offensive line is who they should go after, but I think they're probably going to go defensive line. Whoever the best available between those two is what they're going to go with first.
Well,
I hope they grab that Indiana receiver.
Yeah, knowing their track record, they'll draft a receiver that won't make it beyond next year.
Right.
That's the track record. So
all right, gentlemen. Thanks for coming out. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good luck, guys.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, see you, man.
All right, talk to us there. Big Joe has Jeremiah Love. Talk to us about Jeremiah Love, a running back out of Notre Dame. Wow. Was that expected?
That was expected as the draft got closer, especially today. You started to hear, murmurings about how the Cardinals are in love with Jeremiah Love. And it's really easy to do that because this guy, a lot of people are saying that this guy is the next coming of a Saquon Barkley, of a guy that is that talented. That is up there with the conversation of Bijan Robinson, if you want to go that far. I don't view him as like a Bijan Robinson. I think he's a tad bit lower than him, but all in all, guy is 6 foot, 212. The guy this is insane. For a 10-yard split, for 10 to take off from standing still to 10 yards, he gets there in 1.5 seconds. I mean, the guy runs a 4.36 40. He has speed to burn. He's very compact. He's strong. There's a lot to like about this kid because it's not just one thing he does well. He does everything extremely well, all at a high level. He can make you miss. He can make you he can run through you. He can spin around you. He can stiff arm you. He can catch out of the backfield. He's got receiver soft hands. And Jeremiah Love, honestly, is definitely going to be an impactful player, playing that running back position that he's going to get the rock often, and he's going to team up with the Cardinals offense. I don't know still. It sounds like they're going to still rock with Jacoby Brissett at the moment, but maybe things change. We'll have to keep continuing to watch the draft. But Jeremiah Love, a very, very excellent elite type of pick here for the Cardinals.
Well, talk to me about character. And real quick, let's do a real quick 30-second hint on Fernando Mendoza. I think he's pretty much well known as a high character guy, willing to work hard, live, breathe in football, no issues off the field. Would you agree?
No. Yeah,
talk to us about the.
You don't have to worry about him at all off the field. So much so that he's avoided relationships throughout college because he classifies females as distractions, and he doesn't want any distractions in his life concentrating on all football. This is a kid that is has laser focus just about football. He's all about it, like 24/7. He eats, breathes, sleeps football constantly. The guy, he's one of those, like, he's a very religious person, and you don't have to worry about any extracurricular activities with him. The guy just stays home. He studies football. He practices football in his sleep, basically. But this is a guy that's a prototypical pocket passer, 6'5", 236, big dude. But where he wins, like other pocket passers, he wins with his mind. He has a super elevated football IQ that is second to none right now, and he's got a strong arm. He can make all the throws, super accurate, and he's more mobile than people think. Even though he's a 6'5", 236 guy, he looks like a guy running on stilts. The dude can still make plays. He's got good, decent straight line speed, and I think the world of him. I think you never have to worry about any off the field issues. A guy that's going to be in the building pretty much 24/7. He's going to rival Max Crosby at this point in time, making it to the building, who gets there first every morning at 5 a.m. But this is the kid that you don't have any questions about. I think the sky's the limit for him in the NFL.
Outstanding. And the other guys?
David Bailey, who we kind of touched on earlier. This is a guy who's another 6'3", 251 pass rusher. We talked about
his character. His character.
Character-wise, David Bailey is a family man. Much like Mendoza in the fact that he's all about family. His mother, he wanted his mother to come with him. She couldn't make the trip to Pittsburgh for the draft. But again, all he thinks about is helping mom out, helping the family out, his friends. He's got a great circle around him. So I don't have really any concerns about David Bailey. And you're going to see that a lot with some of these prospects, especially these early on prospects like Jeremiah Love. Another kid who you really don't even have to worry about nothing with him. Again, you're seeing more and more now as we get further and further throughout this decade with the draft coming year in and year out. You're starting to notice that a lot of these high-end draft picks are all level-headed human beings, all about football and family, and they just want to do the right thing.
Well, as far as the fantasy aficionado, look, Jeremiah Love obviously was getting love from the fantasy football community world, and rightfully so. It's best prospect. Why do I say that? He went number 2. So he's going to get the rock. He's going to fall high he's going to go high in a lot of fantasy drafts, Joe. Me, I stay away from those type of cats. He may prove me wrong, and God bless him. I hope he does. But if I'm drafting in my fantasy league, I'm looking at the first 2 rounds. I get as close to guaranteed success as possible, because one thing you can't say, or one thing that is true both in fantasy world and in the real NFL world, those first few picks can't win you a championship, but they can lose you a championship. Just ask all those picks they gave up for the young QB the Niners did, Trey Lance. Really set them back with the draft picks and building their team. So I look at this kid, Jeremiah Love. Hey, I'm happy for him, but I'm not going to draft him just because I want to play a safe bet. Now, if he falls in the second round, and I'm like, okay, all right, we're talking, but I'm not quite sure how he will fare in early prospects. These great running style, as you said, athletic freak, He's big. He's fast. He's agile. Now, if he can catch the rock, that does lift his value up. All right, Joe. Have you played in any fantasy leagues?
Oh yeah, I you know what? I used to be about 3 years ago. Used to be in about 5 or 6 leagues.
I'm sorry, Joe. Carnell Tate
Yeah.
just went off the board with the Titans. Talk to us.
Yeah, this is a surprising pick, to be honest, for the Tennessee Titans. I kind of expected them to go defensive, whether it be Sonny Styles or like maybe even an edge rusher like Ruben Bain. But man, they kind of surprised me with this one. I know they want to get some more help for Cam Ward. You know, he's a young quarterback coming into his second year. Carnell Tate, in my opinion, best receiver coming in this draft. I think that there's really hardly any flaws in his game. He's 6'2", 192, guy that has tremendous upside, and he's quick. He's not the fastest receiver. He runs about a 4.5, so kind of average speed for the NFL level. But I'll tell you right now, this guy is built. He's a willing blocker as a receiver. He does everything well. He runs good routes. He makes some of the toughest contested catches I have ever seen from Ohio State. So you know that they produce receiver after receiver. It's almost like wide receiver U there at this point. And oh, by the way, we still have to wait a year to get to Jeremiah Smith, who everybody's waiting for. And behind him shortly is Chris Henry II. If everybody remembers, Bengals fans out there, Chris Henry used to be a great receiver for the Bengals. His son is going through Ohio State. So they just keep spitting him out year in and year out, and this guy's no exception. Carnell Tate's going to be
Joe,
for them.
You're a little surprised. You said, who do you think they should have gone with here?
I actually, because of Robert Spillane taking over that defense for the Tennessee Titans, I really fully expected them to go defense, because typically anywhere Robert Saleh has been, he's gone defense in the first round. He tries to really build that up. And I kind of expected like Ruben Bain to go here, or Sonny Styles could be that Fred Warner type middle linebacker for him. But I'm a little surprised that they went offensive here, and they went with the best receiver in the draft.
Well, their head coach, Robert Salas, Salas. Defensive Saleh, Robert Saleh, defensive mastermind. I mean, we saw what he did with the Niners last year, just coming in for a pit stop. And it is a little bit shocking there, but they're invested in Cam Ward. They've got to build around him. It's tough for them to sit there and see Malik Willis go and then have success somewhere else. Speaks a lot about the organization and their lack of ability. As Rodrik David has said in previous podcasts, in the right organization, players can thrive. That's why I always joke New York Jets is where quarterbacks go to die. Well, Tennessee looks like it's a southern version of it. So let's hope that they can turn that around. Good-looking kid. I'm a marketer, so I'm looking at him. Great smile, good-looking kid, high character. I'm a marketer. If I'm his agent, I'm already looking for deals down there in Tennessee for him.
There you go. And the Giants have their pick in, and this draft is going pretty quickly, because if everybody remembers, the time has been shrunk into 8 minutes. It's no longer 10 minutes, so it's going to go a little faster. Giants get the pick in. It is Arvell Reese. They list him as an edge rusher on the card, but honestly, in my opinion, he's going to be an all-pro linebacker. I'm curious to see how the Giants utilize him at the next level. But this is a guy, yet again, another Ohio State player, and you're going to see quite a few. Over half their defense was all stellar athletes and guys that could play. So I'm really excited about Arvell Reese. I'm very curious to see how they envision him at the next level. But nonetheless, you're looking at a guy who can go sideline to sideline as a linebacker, a guy that can do a lot for you. 6'4", 241, runs a 4.46. The speed is there. Quickness. He's just got tremendous physical ability to do whatever you need him to do, whether it be chasing down a runner or playing in coverage. Now, he does have to get better at coverage. That's a little bit of something that he's not as comfortable with, but you could see him get better with that at the next level with better coaching, and him to adapt to the game full time. Because that's the other thing we got to remember is a lot of these college athletes, they're not just football players. They're students. They have to go to school every day.
Students in name only. They're sinos. We got rhinos in politics. Republicans in name only. Call them sinos. Students in name only. Come on, Joe. That guy was probably cashing checks every other week with each check more than you and I make in a year. Do I still have you? Are you still there, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. No comment.
No, I was entering it in the timeline. So
oh god. So overall, what are your thoughts on the draft overall so far? It sounds like Tate's the only unexpected pick you were thinking of.
It was the only unexpected pick. I'm surprised Reese went to 5 to the Giants. But then again, I'm sure that they're ecstatic at this point, having a guy of his caliber, being able to utilize him as a Swiss Army knife on that defense. So very intrigued by what the Giants did, because I honestly, coming into the round one, there was a lot of speculation that the Giants might take Sonny Styles, who's a middle linebacker for the Ohio State
guy.
Buckeyes.
According to Rodrik David, who will be on after the 10th pick here, there's like nothing wrong with the kid. I mean, he is like the next Bobby Wagner. Your thoughts? Do you agree with Rodrik?
I love Sonny Styles. I can't believe, I thought for sure his floor in this draft was going to be 5 to the Giants. But again, this is why the draft is so unpredictable and why everybody's always wrong. Nobody can get this thing right. So I do agree with Rodrik. The fact with Sonny Styles, like there's really no flaws in his game. I'm super excited to see where it goes. It could be that, honestly, for him to go to now where the Cleveland Browns are sitting at 6, they got a dilemma on their hands, because I know for a fact they didn't anticipate Sonny Styles being there. But this is also an organization that could desperately use offensive line help. Do they go for the tackle regardless of Sonny Styles slipping? You know what I mean? Do they? And Carnell Tate, I know, was also another guy in the cards for Cleveland, but now he's gone. So makes this pick right here for Cleveland a very, very interesting decision for them.
You know, I don't care what they say until they get their QB situation taken care of. They're going to be a nightmare of a team, because they are the Browns. The history says you will be a nightmare of an organization.
Oh, haven't you heard, Will? Don't worry, Deshaun Watson's coming back.
You know, we forget about Deshaun Watson. If he could ever get back to his Texans, real quick, let's go back to the Giants here. Mm-hmm. The Giants, I assume they still have their number 10 pick they got by trading Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence, I think he's old as dirt. And he's up for a new contract. So that made no sense. The Bengals were the only team that offered something that high. To me, it seems like the Giants really went to the cleaners here. I mean, they can rebuild real quick. The Giants the pick is in. We don't know who it is. Who, if you were the GM right now, real quick, 10 seconds, who would you take here in at number 10? The builder. I mean, and let's be clear here. Jimmy McPhee, big Giants fan, number 1, is going to be watching.
Yeah, I mean, for right now with the Cleveland Browns, I definitely think that what they're going to be looking at is offensive tackle mostly. If I was them, I know that they had a lot of interest in Caden Proctor coming out of Alabama, and he's a massive dude. But I got to be honest, I think the better tackle at this point at 6 would be Monroe Freeling for them out of Georgia, a guy who has tremendous traits as far as a tall, long, big type of Georgia Bulldog tackle who still needs to refine some technique issues, but I think this guy is going to end up being one of the better tackles in this draft when it's all said and done. I think that's the direction that they should be going.
Fair enough. So what about the Giants, though?
Oh, snap.
Arvell Reese. Oh, I'm sorry. I stole your thunder there. They got an edge rusher.
There is a trade. There is going to be a trade. The Chiefs are trading up from number 9 to number 6 for the Browns. And this might be for Ruben Bain. It might be for Ruben Bain here. We heard rumors of the Kansas City Chiefs trying to work the phones before the draft even started, trying to find a counterpart where they could trade up with and go and get a edge rusher. I don't think this is a trade up to get a corner. I think they could have stayed at 9 and got themselves the best corner. But I stand corrected. They traded up for, in fact, LSU corner Mansour Delane.
Whoa, shut down corner.
They decided that they didn't want to wait. They didn't want to risk it. And they move up with the Cleveland Browns pick at 6 and take cornerback Mansour Delane. Wow. This
No, actually, Joe, let my expertise come in. That is not shocking because they just traded away their top slot corner, didn't they? So, and they have a tradition of building corners from the draft, don't they?
But here's the thing: is what's shocking is that they traded up for him. I'm not so sure that they had to trade up to get Mansour Delane. I think they were a little concerned, maybe people behind them that might be thinking about trading up, and that's why they pulled the trigger to do this. I think they could have stayed there and got Mansour if there was no other potential threat. But maybe this is that type of thing where you saw the Chiefs decide to make a move because they were worried about a team underneath them, leapfrogging them to get their guy. This is a way that they can reassure themselves, lock it down, lock it in. We're moving up. We're going to get our guy, Mansour Delane. Now, am I surprised on the corner? No, I'm not surprised at all.
So they've taken him, Joe?
Trading up. Huh?
They have taken Manford, or that's who you think they're going to take?
Mansour Delane they have taken, yes.
Wow, okay. I'm not showing it on my charts right now.
So the thing is with Mansour Delane, now this is the guy that's general consensus, the number one corner coming off the board here, 6 foot 187. You know, he a guy who has tremendous traits, good at run support, great instincts, ball skills through the roof, coverage skills. He can play man, he can play zone, he can do it all for you. He's even good at run support off the edge. I like Delane a lot, and I'm not surprised that he got picked this early. I'm just surprised that the Chiefs traded up to get him. So this is definitely going to be one of those type of drafts I can see already.
Wow. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. That's what makes these drafts exciting. I like the kid. We'll see how he does. Because, you know, the problem with the NFL, it's the speed of the game. I mean, those SEC teams, they play one or two tough teams a year, and then they look like God against scrubs. So, and cornerback is one of those where the speed – quarterback and cornerback is where you see the immediate – with quarterbacks, it takes a couple of years or about 20-some-odd games per Bill Walsh. But cornerbacks, man, you see a lot of these supposedly stud cornerbacks come out and become, you know, nickelbacks because that's, you know, they just want to – they can't play every single play. So that's one way to look at it, but we will see.
That's right. Now we have who's at 7? We have Washington that will be on the clock. And this is interesting too for the Commanders is because Commanders, I'm pretty sure we're hoping Sonny Styles is there. I think Sonny Styles will end up being the pick for the Commanders. I don't think they thought, just like a lot of other teams didn't think Sonny Styles would slip this far past 5, that Washington has got to be super elated. And they're a team that desperately needs to build on that defensive side of the ball. They have some really good offensive pieces. That's starting to come together. Jaden Daniels is going to be healthy this year, so they'll have their starting quarterback back. But their defense was up and down all season long. They definitely need to rebuild that side of the ball. This is probably a godsend to the Washington Commanders to have Sonny Styles still there. I think that's definitely going to be the pick.
So you really think this kid's a future All-Pro, huh?
I really do. I absolutely love Sonny Styles. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, and not just because he was supposed to be a top 5 pick, but the kid is he's everywhere. Like this kid, by the way, Sonny Styles converted from safety, by the way. So when he first got to Ohio State, he was a safety along his counterparts. Caleb Downs transferred from Alabama to be an extra safety. And then when they got Caleb Downs, they decided to move Sonny Styles down to linebacker. And I think no matter where that kid played, he was going to be something special. So just for a second, for Ohio State fans out there, just think for a second. Imagine if big, huge Sonny Styles stayed at safety right next to Caleb Downs. Good luck on the back end. But the Ohio State staff, they decided to move him to linebacker. Still a tremendous player.
Well, you know what that means. That means eventually you could do it's usually a cornerback that loses a step but can still hit hard will shift over to safety. I can imagine Sonny Styles doing that after his linebacker premier days are over. He can have an extra lifespan there. But, you know, that Mansour Delane pick really is intriguing to me because the Chiefs moved up it real quick before the Commanders pick comes in. it kind of tells me how the Chiefs are looking at their team, their makeup. They know Mahomes just can't do it. They know they can no longer score 30 points, and the defense has got to help them out. Travis Kelce, I mean, he's a day late, dollar short now. You know, the receivers have yet to prove themselves to be good enough. So I can see the logic in what they're doing here with this pick. Going back to the Arvell Reese pick there as an edge rusher, the Dexter Lawrence trade, he's a defensive tackle. How are they going to I haven't kept up as much as you have. My thought process is maybe they're looking at the first round to make up for a younger version of Dexter Lawrence. You think that may come in pick 10?
You could definitely see it that way. I know that the Giants absolutely love Caleb Downs. Absolutely love the guy. So if by chance he gets there to 10, I'm pretty darn sure that that's going to end up being the pick if Caleb Downs gets that far down. But this is another team where the Commanders could go that direction too. They just need to add defensive talent. They got a lot of holes on that side of the ball. So whether it be Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, the Giants right now are really kind of grinning their teeth and hoping that that's the case where Caleb Downs might be available to 10. That'll be a home run for them.
For the audience, that's Mansour Delane. And, his name was spelled differently and very depending on what you were reading. And Mama San had to come in and correct everybody, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Good-looking kid, good smile. Never been a big fan of cornrows, but to each their own. Hopefully, he can. Doesn't matter what he's wearing under that helmet, he'll be able to produce well for the Kansas City Chiefs. I loathe the Chiefs, but I do have a soft spot for Patrick Mahomes because of his character. Good character kid. Boy, they're taking forever with that pick there. As far as fantasy ramifications,
interesting.
As far as fantasy football ramifications and looking it over right now, there's IDP people. Let me tell you this to the IDP individuals. Well, Carnell Tate, his fantasy outlook, stay away from him. It takes, these kids come in and they hit the ground running because colleges now are more adept with the pro style. Kids are transferring into offenses that are more pro style, but he's got to learn chemistry. He's on a bad team. He's somebody I would take as my third or fourth receiver. And that's because I usually stock up on 6 or 7 receivers, and look at who's going to pan out. And then I play the matchups. So don't look at him as a savior, for anybody. But outside of that, Jeremiah Love is somebody who will be popular in fantasy drafts. So the pick is in for the Commanders. Any idea yet who it is?
Right now, I'm trying to find that out right now. But at the moment, I'm trying to figure out where he was.
Well, this is a make or break year for their head coach, too. It's a situation where Dan, what's his name? Oh, my goodness. I was going to say Dan Henning. I'm aging myself.
What's weird is that I'm trying to find the Washington pick, but the Saints pick is already in. Immediately.
Well, so it's
the Saints are taking Jordan Tyson, wide receiver at Arizona State. I'm still trying to find what Washington's going to take. I'm surprised they got I just got the news about Jordan Tyson, but I'm still looking for the Commanders here to pop up. Well, while we're waiting for the Commanders to figure out what they want, let's talk about Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson,
there you go.
Who was seen as one of these premier wide receivers. A lot of people were already donning him the number 1 overall wide receiver in this class as we got closer and closer. But then he had a lot of injury concerns, stemming 3 years in a row with an injury. And last year, it wasn't anything serious. However, he just kept his hamstring.
I'm sorry, Joe. Sonny Styles.
Sonny Styles to Washington. There you go. Excellent.
You called it, yeah.
Yep. I could definitely see that coming. But real quick, Jordan Tyson, if it wasn't for the injuries, this kid is super special. Phenomenal body control, a kid that has that tall, long, lean type of body type. He's fast. He runs good routes. He makes all these acrobatic catches. I have a little concern with easy catches, though, sometimes. Sometimes he gets a little lack in focus and tends to drop the easy balls every once in a while. Watch out for that. But Jordan Tyson, a very special receiver. And I'm very kind of surprised on how fast the Saints just pounced on that right after the Washington pick. Now we'll go to Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles, big time player, 6'5", 244. I mean, with that kind of size, you shouldn't be able to run a 4.46. You just shouldn't. The dude is an amazing sideline-to-sideline linebacker, and I do compare him to a Fred Warner. I think this guy has all pro potential all day long. The guy can make he makes great plays behind the line of scrimmage, stuffing the run, rushing the passer when asked to, pretty decent at blitzing, and a guy that is just cerebral as a linebacker. This guy is going to be tremendous.
I mean, look at him. He looks like he's all muscle, like one big muscle there. You know?
Absolutely. All ready to go for them.
Oh, yeah. And, instant starter probably, I would assume, at that pick, right?
Oh, yeah. Day one starter, hands down. I mean, that's what they were looking for. They needed a difference maker on that side of the ball. And by adding Sonny Styles, that is the guy that's going to be wearing the green dot on the helmet, the guy that's going to get everybody lined up correctly, the guy that's going to command and lead that defense. This is the perfect scenario for the Commanders, is for them to be able to get Sonny Styles that not a lot of people envisioned him getting this far down.
I got to be honest. It sounds like he may be the most impactful player in the draft right now. Let's be honest. Fernando Mendoza is going to take a little time to learn. The cornerback, same thing. But a linebacker is like a running back's version of on defense. Come in, make an impact quickly, depending on how they scheme him. Because let's be honest, that middle linebacker's got to know that whole defensive layout. But we'll see how Sonny does. They haven't officially listed the Saints pick yet, I don't think, have they?
Yeah, the pick is in. It just hasn't been officially announced. This is one of those things where the NFL loves to play games when the pick is in. They don't want to make this draft go too fast now. They did speed up the time a little bit, but now they love to do these games where they, make it last a little bit longer, delay the announcement of the pick. So we'll wait until they give the official word, but Jordan Tyson will be that pick, that selection.
Jordan Tyson. I got to be honest here, Joe. Injury-prone receivers. I'm just not going to risk a pick that high.
Yeah.
That's just who I am. And I'm not an NFL GM, but I have spoken to a lot of them, and some of the risks they take and the reasoning they've given me in the past. Yeah, I'm like, well, you're the pro, and then 2 years later, they're out of a job, Minnesota.
Right. Absolutely.
It just seems like the Saints are just a wreck as well. They're
Listen, this is why I don't really question teams. I have to see what happens. I know there's concerns about the injuries. I personally am with you, Will. I would not take them this early. In fact, like if you wanted to, the Saints could have traded back, honestly, I feel like, and maybe taking Jordan Tyson, maybe picking up an extra pick or two. But this is something where there was reports that did state that Jordan Tyson, we would be surprised in this draft how high up he goes despite the injury history. So not a fan of it, but the Saints obviously have confidence in selecting him that high. And
is he from the University of Colorado? Is Tyson from the University of Colorado, correct?
Ty Simpson is Alabama.
Okay. Simpson. I'm thinking of Jordan Tyson here out of Colorado. Gotcha.
So we mentioned that the Browns, with this trade, they switched spots with the Chiefs. Now the Browns picking at 9. They're going to be taking a tackle, and honestly, the way these things are going is just when you think you know who it is. I think it's going to be Monroe Freeling. Some people think it might be Caden Proctor. Nope, we're both wrong, because it's Utah offensive tackle Spencer Fano. This is an offensive lineman that is extremely versatile. He can play all 5 positions across the offensive line. One of the most athletic offensive linemen in this draft. And this versatility is key because if they're going to give him an opportunity to play tackle, but he does tend to have shorter arms than what you would like at the tackle position. I think at the next level, they're going to give him a shot at that because of his athleticism, because of how quick and agile that he is and can move. But in the end, he might kick into guard, and he also can play center in a pinch if you need him to. So very scheme versatile type of offensive lineman, but a guy who a lot of people envision as just a absolute dog going into the NFL.
So you like the pick?
I like the pick. I'm a little, honestly, like I feel like for their power gap scheme that they're going to utilize in Cleveland, I don't really think he fits the bill. He's not a big mauling type of offensive lineman. He's a more athletic, chiseled type of lineman to where like he fits more of a zone blocking scheme. So I just don't know how that's going to work for them in their power gap scheme. Now with Todd Monken taking over as the head coach for Cleveland, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, was the OC over there. So he likes these big type of linemen. I'm kind of surprised a little bit that they did draft Spano given his athletic build.
I got to be honest. He'll fit right in a Cheech and Chong movie, though.
Absolutely. You see the hair? Look at those luscious locks.
Wild man hair.
Look at those
and
luscious
I'm
locks.
just kidding, people. I'm just kidding. Looks like my dealer.
Nice.
Oh, I'm bad, people, and I don't care. Deal with it. I deal with it. Joe, so it's funny because, we're so politically correct. That's why I'm like, deal with it. When people, I'm double trouble. I just found out my mother is 100%, not 50, not 80, not 90, 100% indigenous. She is Panamanian Indian, 100. So eat that, people.
Nice. I like it.
Oh, man. So, okay, overall, real quick here before the pick comes in, your surprises here. I like the Fernando Mendoza pick. I like the David Bailey pick. On the Jeremiah Love pick, I'm like, not because he doesn't have the talent. It's like running backs just have a history of it's to take him that high. You haven't seen that happen a lot over the last few years. Carnell Tate, I'm not a big super fan out of those 2 picks there, only because I'm with Jesus there. I love these offensive line, defensive line picks. Arvo Reese, I like. Mansour Delane, I'm happy for the kid. I kind of like. I'm not even a Chiefs fan. I hate the Chiefs. I mean, I root for them to lose, but I admire what they built over there, and I see what they're doing, and I'm like, okay, I may not have gone that route, but I get what you're doing. The pick I do love is Sonny Styles. I love that kid for some reason, man. Yeah, I love the kid who comes in and can make an impact, and he's all business. So out of these picks so far there, Big Joe DeCapita, anybody strike you as, okay, I'm not too keen on their character? I'm a big character guy when you're drafting in the first round. You better live, eat, and breathe NFL football, or I don't want you in my first round. So far, where does that logic stack up?
Honestly, like I said earlier in the show, that a lot of these high-end draft picks now are all character approved, so to speak. Like all these guys are all about football. They're great football players. I don't really have any concerns so far with the players that have been selected. All really good kids, family-oriented, and there's really no concerns off the field. Crime.
Well, the Giants have selected their pick, Big Joe. Looks like the Giants are going with who? It's from Miami. Kid out of Miami.
Oh, Giants are going to go with Francis Mariota, the offensive tackle for the Miami Hurricanes.
What do you think?
That is big. That's a lot of people had Francis Mariota going to the Giants at 5. So to get him at 10,
that's a steal for them.
This is a huge value pick for them. A guy who is built like honestly like a brick house. The dude is just a monster. Now, I have some concerns with Francis. Me personally, he does tend to have shorter arms, kind of similar to Spencer Fano, but he's held it down in Miami through all his years in college that they're going to give him a shot at that right tackle position. But I view Francis Mariota. I think that in the end, he's going to kick into right guard. I think he's going to struggle at the next level with these high premier speed rushers. He didn't really have to deal with it a ton in college. So I wonder how he's going to be able to move quickly given his immense size.
And you can see what you're talking about here with the short arms. You can clearly see that right there. It's kind of squatty guy. It appears there. But that's who the Giants took. So do you think Jimmy McPhee's happy with these past 2 picks? And for those who don't know, Jimmy is Joe's normal co-host who's taking a little bit of time off here. But we wish him the best. And you think he's happy with the 2 Giants picks?
I think he is. I think offensive line has always been a sticking point with Jim. He views them as neglecting those position groups for far too long. And now with John Harbaugh at the helm, he's going to make sure that the trenches are rebuilt.
I'm with him on that. Again, if you look at these championship teams, they've got studs on that offensive and defensive line. Terry Bradshaw, I always put him as one of the top premier quarterbacks. So you won 4 Super Bowls. You still need that quarterback to help you win, despite that defense because of the quality of their opponents last year. One of the exceptions is like the Ravens 2000 team. It's just that was a crappy year for most NFL teams, and that defense dominated. But the Steelers, offensive line, defensive line from those 70s Steel Curtain days. Look at the great teams, and to me, that is why the Rams did not last long as a high-powered offense. Finesse, they just couldn't get that offensive line replaced with the type of player needed for that system.
Right on.
All righty. So the Browns are on. No, the Browns already picked. I'm sorry, the Dolphins are on the clock. New regime down there.
That's right.
Thoughts?
Jeff Hafley.
What are we looking at?
For Jeff Hafley and the Miami Dolphins, this could be another offensive line pick. Jeff Hafley, I'm not sure how much he's going to be pounding the table for a defensive player. He's defensive minded. Maybe he wants to rebuild that side of the ball first. But again, you got to get Malik Willis some playmakers. You damn well traded away Jalen Waddle when he just got there, and obviously Tyreek Hill was already on his way out. So now this dude has basically a bunch of low tier slot receivers right now at the moment. The guy needs some outside help. So I mean, I think they have to go wide receiver. Honestly, is the most critical thing right now for them. But I also could see them go the direction of rebuilding that offensive line as well too.
I don't know what to think of the Dolphins. What are they going to do with Tua?
There's a lot of holes. I mean, there really is a lot of holes with the Dolphins. So, I mean, they could go in a number of different ways. Offense, defense, you name it.
What do you think they're going to do here? What do you think they're going to do, personally think?
Honestly, the way everything is I'm kind of – so I have Vega Ioane. He's a guard out of Penn State, and I ranked him as my number 1 offensive lineman, period. Forget the tackles, the guard. This dude is absolutely a beast. I would not be shocked if the Dolphins went with just a absolute mauler in Vega if that's what they decided to do it. They could also go, if they wanted to go tackle, watch out for Blake Miller from Clemson, a guy who is a great pass protector, a guy who's good run blocker, has those long limbs that we like to always talk about. So that could also be the pick. Now, if they wanted to go wide receiver, a guy that comes to mind, I'm not a huge fan of Mekhi Lemon, but he's basically a glorified slot receiver, really good player. But again, I just feel like Miami has too many of those type of dudes. I don't think they would go Mekhi Lemon, even though he's supposed to go around this area.
So while we're talking Miami, he's no longer. I think they officially released him, didn't they? Tyreek Hill. Think his career's over?
Yep. Honestly, when you talk about Tyreek Hill, it's because, listen, the guy's mid-30s right now. He's not no spring chicken anymore. So I got to say, it's going to be kind of tough for Tyreek Hill to sign somewhere when this guy is always looking for a big money contract. You're
no, those days are gone.
You're coming back. You're coming back for yet another ACL injury, and even healthy or not, I think he's going to have a hard time finding a home. Honestly, I think he might, but he's going to have to kind of dwindle down his expectations for what the next team is.
I agree as well. I think it's a situation in which he's not going to go for the veteran minimum, or they may give him a veteran minimum, but give him a few easy bonuses, but he's going to have to earn it. I mean, he hasn't even signed with anybody yet, has he?
No, he's still a free agent, and I kind of fully expected that with how deep this draft is. Definitely thought that teams were going to wait to see what they could get. Now, after the draft, maybe he gets a couple phone calls from teams that didn't quite get the guys that they wanted to get, and kind of kick the tires, so to speak, to see how much he's looking for and if they can make a deal get done. But I have my doubts, honestly, Will. I have my doubts with Tyreek Hill. I'm not 100% sure if he gets to go to a destination where he's looking to win with. I don't see him going back to Kansas City. I know that's kind of been a rumor.
Oh, Joe. So the Cowboys traded up to number 11 per Adam Schefter.
Nice. That's a great selection.
So what are we looking at here? Great
reporter.
Let me tell you, while we're in a lull here, let me tell you about insiders and how it works. When I came up, I had access. In 10 years, I worked with over 200 beat reporters from every city. Insiders get a lot of their information from beat reporters. When you have the name ESPN behind you or NFL behind you, teams call you back. GMs call you back. We don't really have true insiders anymore like we did with Chris Mortensen. Or the who's that guy came out of nowhere in basketball? Shams, where he built. Jay Glazer built he's not as much an insider as much he's living his large life there as the guy on Fox who comes in with the news. But these guys, I would never consider Schefter a true insider. He gets inside information because he's attached to ESPN, but he does his job well, very well. So I will give him kudos in that. Florio's another one who because he's attached to NBC, but the internet changed everything. Not internet, social media and Twitter really changed the game with insiders. But I give all these guys credit because you got to still work hard to get this news. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them. So your thoughts on the Cowboys? What are we looking at? Wide receiver. I mean, they got Pickens for only 1 year. They're not going to give Pickens a long-term contract, is my understanding. But they do need an edge rusher. They've never replaced. Who was the cat who went to Green Bay?
Oh, Micah Parsons.
They traded him away. Cornerback. They needed help on corner. I mean, that whole offense, defensive line was trash. They do need some help on offensive line, but you look at the numbers, and Dak was still slinging the rock. Your thoughts? Who did they go with here? The pick is
honestly, I think they traded up for a reason, and that's going to be Caleb Downs at safety. With the Giants not taking him at 10, the Cowboys couldn't believe what just transpired. They made a move to go up. They swapped picks with the Dolphins, move up, and get a tremendous safety in Caleb Downs, the number one safety in this class. A lot of people anticipate this guy being a difference maker.
So that's who you think
back end of your secondary.
So real quick, the Cowboys get the number 11, and they gave up the number 12, number 177, number 180. Yeah, that's how it works in the NFL. I see nothing wrong with that. But to move up one slot, that kind of seems a little odd. Were they? Why move up one slot? Were they concerned the Dolphins were going to take that pick?
No, the Dolphins, if they were going to take the pick, they wouldn't have traded. But I think for the Cowboys,
No, I meant the player that they wanted, the Cowboys wanted.
yeah, they wouldn't. The Dolphins wouldn't trade with the Cowboys, is what I'm saying. If the Dolphins were going to take Caleb Downs, but the Dolphins willing to move back one tells you a lot about maybe some things that the Cowboys were hearing. Other teams possibly going, that could be the target destination that they were going to trade up to get Downs if he got to 11. And that's usually the reason why they make these moves, where I know it's just a insignificant move from an outsider's perspective looking in, just say, oh, well, why the hell would you move up, just swap picks right there and just move up one pick? Usually that's the case. Usually they started to hear some rumors, or they got some intel that other teams were very intrigued on Caleb Downs, were going to trade to that pick to get him. So they pulled the trigger and got him.
Quick reaction. Clay Travis, he is the founder of Outkick.com, one of the bigger sports sites that's also involved with politics. I think when you think of Clay Travis, you think of Jason Whitlock and those types. That's the type of sports guy. Quote, Carnell Tate at 4 is absurdly bad. I hate the tightest drafts every year. Trade back. He's not even a top wide receiver at Ohio State, and I don't even think he's the best receiver in the draft. My question to you, respond. First, you agree with him. He wasn't even the top receiver on his team because everybody's waiting on the guy who's a year back, right? And
Correct.
But what do you think of the claim he's absurdly bad at number 4?
I think that's absolutely preposterous. That is ridiculous. I don't know what he's watching, but apparently never watched any Ohio State games. That's for sure. Is he not the best receiver at Ohio State? Sure, I'll give him that. He's the second best next to Jeremiah Smith. However, Carnell Tate in this draft class is 100% the best receiver to take. A guy that you have no concerns on or off the field, no injury concerns, extremely durable, and can do everything that you need an outside receiver to do. Block, catch, score touchdowns. I think that's just an absolutely asinine take.
I love it. You got your opinion there. You know, again, my take isn't that he's absurdly bad. I'm like a wide receiver that high. It's there's
you got to be special.
When you think he's special.
Receiver, yeah, when it comes to taking a receiver in the top 10, you have to be special. Now, it could mean a lot of different things. You could be special in some of the plays that you can make. You could be special with your attributes because let's just say if Carnell Tate was what he is, 6'2", around 200 pounds, and could run a 4.27, then this wouldn't be a negotiation or a disagreement or a debate. Everyone would be like, this guy's he's the fastest receiver. He's one of the bigger receivers. Hands down, this is an elite thing. But the fact that he doesn't run a elite 4.2 or 4.3 type of speed, he's more of an average type of top end speed, 4.5.
Right.
That I think a lot of people they're looking at the speed and saying, well, how special can he be? I don't know. But at Ohio State, I'm just saying the guy made tremendous catches, super difficult ones, whether it be one-handed behind his back, over the top of his head, at the baseline of the end zone, and somehow, some way comes down with it when it being a contested catch. I'm sorry. That to me is special, is the plays that he can generate and make. That's why he's the number 1 receiver in this draft.
No, I get it. I just think maybe. Do you think the Titans could have traded down for him though?
That's the risk. That's the thing is the draft is really risky when you start playing around with those scenarios, because you don't, obviously no team knows what the other team is thinking or wants to do. So if you trade back, you better have pretty good intel or on pretty good authority, know what a few teams behind you are picking, or have an idea at least. Because when you trade back, that also is a little bit of a risk factor where you might have traded back. Sure, you gain some capital and extra picks, but also you risk on losing your guy that you were hoping to get to slide down to you. So that's one of those things where maybe they viewed it too much of a risk to move down, or simply it could be this simple to where they just couldn't get a deal done.
Okay, Skip Bayless, way too high for Carnell Tate. Nothing special about him. By far, Ohio State's second best receiver, and in caps. And he just went. Well, it was fourth overall. He said fifth overall. Was it fifth or fourth that he just went? That he went.
Carnell Tate.
Yeah, he went fourth overall. He said
Fourth.
fifth. Well, Skip, when you get your damn tweet right, then talk to Big Joe DeCapita.
Skip Bailey, what are you doing lately, bud? Are you just doing podcasts now, or because you keep losing job after job wherever you go, being more irrelevant every day? I don't understand where he's coming from. And this is another guy that I love. These talking heads that don't really do scouting, that just like to go off of the hinge and create drama and just kind of just create this hysteria, stirring the pot. So. Yeah, good one, Skip. Go back to the closet.
Well, according to Jay Glazer, who I just spoke about, the Rams are going to be looking at quarterback Ty Simpson with pick number 13. I don't want to get too far ahead, but Jay Glazer, who I think is the man, I love that little guy forever. We came up together, actually, Jay and I. We go to the combine. Oh, yeah, I knew Jay Glazer very well at one point. There was an internet tip. Somebody accused us of something. Jay Glazer came to our defense. He said, no, I've known these guys forever. They don't do that. That's nonsense, you know? And it was against one of his supposed good friends. But, yeah, he's saying that Alabama QB Ty Simpson will pick number 13 per at Jay Glazer. So we will find out here shortly. So they land Caleb Downs, and they still hold the number 20 pick. According to Ari Mirov, they're going to select Caleb Downs, right?
That's right. Now we got the Dolphins pick is in. It is the big mauling tackle from Alabama, Caden Proctor.
Caden Proctor.
Yeah.
Inconsistent, though, isn't he?
I will say this. I have never been a fan of Alabama offensive linemen, and there's a reason for that. The Alabama recruiting department always goes for these gigantic human beings of offensive linemen and try to do their best to convert them into powerhouse offensive linemen. The problem is that they are not light on their feet. They basically have elephant feet with very heavy-footed type of guys. They're not quick on their feet. They can't laterally move fast enough, especially against speed rushers. You look at like a guy like David Bailey, who we mentioned earlier in the show, extremely fast, quick burst off the snap. That's the type of guys that Caden Proctor is going to have to deal with at the next level. Look at Evan Neal, who was a Giants high-end pick in the first round, another Alabama offensive lineman. The list goes on and on. Alex Leatherwood, former Alabama offensive lineman. What was he? He was a bust. So a lot of these guys that come into this league now, great, they're huge. Don't get me wrong. Caden Proctor is ridiculous. Like that, you can't teach size 100%. This is a mauling type of figure. When you look at this dude, you want this guy to get off the bus first because he is intimidating looking. He is a guy that is phenomenal for run blocking for obvious reasons. Big dude, 6'6", 352 pounds. This is a guy that by no means are you going to walk up to him and think that you're going to run through him. However, if you're fast enough, you could get the edge on him. And that's going to be the concern at the next level for him is he's going to be that power guy. He's going to be phenomenal for you in the run blocking game. But as far as pass protector goes, pass protector is going to be suspect.
Massive guy, isn't he?
Massive.
I mean, look at him compared to the ref right there. You see that, Joe? Oh, my goodness. That's a jolly black giant there, you know? Oh, my goodness, it's a big man.
2 pounds, every bit. And honestly, at Alabama, he wasn't 350. He was more close to 380. So he trimmed down for the combine. He trimmed down to get in a little bit better shape for the process of the draft. And here he goes. He lands right here to the Dolphins.
Okay, real quick again. Caleb Downs. Talk to since to keep this going in order. Caden Proctor just went. You predicted Caleb Downs to go to the Cowboys, but then they actually took him. So that aligns with your thought process of what the Cowboys are trying to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is something where it's a player that went down lower than anybody expected for one and two. This is a guy that is a blue chip player. There's not too many blue chip type of elite traded prospects in this draft. So when you can get one lower in the rounds here, that's a win. It's 100% a win. So I really do love the fact that they jumped on the opportunity and were able to nab it.
All right, let's bring the B team in. Let's bring the B team in here. Rodrik.
The B team. I don't know about that.
I'm just kidding, people. Obviously, I'm just kidding. How you doing, Rodrik?
I'm outstanding. How you guys doing?
What's going on, Rod? Doing great.
Very good. Listen, now that Rodrik's here, I don't want to be the third wheel on a bad date here. So I'll let Big Joe DeCapita take over. But before I go, Rodrik, the first 12 picks have been taken. We are being told per Jay Glazer that Tyler Simpson is going to go to the Rams. First 10 picks, anything strikes out at you?
You know, run on receivers. Again, we didn't expect Jordan Tyson to go that high. Carnell Tate going to 4. Again, the Titans go and get their guy for their young quarterback. Again, the Saints grab a weapon and Jordan Tyson. Again, teams winning in the trenches too. Couple bigs on the O-line, some pass rushers. Again, nobody real surprising. Maybe Mansur Delane, the corner going to Kansas City. Maybe that's the one that again, they jump up and trade a couple picks for him, but clearly they needed help on that defense, and they targeted their guy and went and got him.
Okay, so real quick, I don't know if you're aware of Clay Travis and Outkick, but everybody knows Skip Bayless. They're dogging on Carnell Tate. They're saying bad pick, terrible pick. Respond.
I mean, I don't think they've ever been in a scouting room, done a scouting visit.
That's what Joe said.
I mean, Carnell Tate, he's got very good traits. Again, you would love a guy that's got an excellent level that, again, has true speed. Again, Carnell Tate's a good X, a reliable target. He was the guy this last year. Again, you could see the comfort level that Julian Sain had with him. Again, you go and get what they thought was the best wide receiver for your young quarterback. They got a plan. They executed. Those guys can go kick rocks.
David Bailey to the Jets. I say players go there to die because it's a Jets organization. But overall, that said, David Bailey about the best they could do at that pick in terms of what they're trying to build over there.
Yeah. Again, you get a true ready to go pass rusher. Again, that was the question: Arvell Reese or David Bailey. And again, David Bailey knows how to rush the passer, and that was going to be priority number one for them. Again, where is Arvell Reese going to play, stack or edge? That question is out there. So again, when you go get a guy like David Bailey, he's going to rush the passer. It's probably going to be a 50% play time this year, you would expect. But again, he is going to get after guys. He is going to be the marquee edge for him going forward. So you love it, and they had their guy and went and got him.
So Jeremiah Love seems like a different type of beast in terms of running back. And we haven't seen many running backs the last few years going high in the draft. Your thoughts on him going? I mean, obviously, I assume he's going to just slot right in and start. Your thoughts on him going to Arizona?
Yeah, again, it's a great fit. If you look at what Mike LaFleur comes from, the system he's been in, again, he grew up with a lot of Kyle Shanahan influence, and obviously Kyle Shanahan has a pretty good one there in San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey. And again, I think they view that pick very much the same way. I fully expect it to look very similar to what San Francisco's done, obviously with the touch of Sean McVay in there as well. He's had some good running backs. Again, wins a little differently. The McVay-Shanahan tree, again, is an outstanding one. I expect big things out of Jeremiah Love. Again, they're gonna give him a lot of opportunities to run game and pass game.
All right, so let's double up here. Arvell Reese, you've already. Oh, real quick on Bailey, David Bailey. Didn't you predict like he's going to be a 15, 16 sack guy pretty much year in, year out?
Yeah, I think this guy is going, that's his job. Again, they're not going to ask him to set edges. They're going to probably play him away from the run strength a lot of time. You're not going to ask him to take on a lot of tight ends. You're not going to ask him to set the edge a lot. So when his snaps will be passed down snaps, these are going to be second longs, obvious passing situations is when you want to get him on the field. He's got a high motor. He's got the speed. He's got the athleticism, the twitch, the bend, the fluidity. Again, love the fit. And again, I expect him to be a 10 to 15 in this first year.
All right, so let's double up on the Giants here. Arvell Reese at number 5 and Francis Mauigoa at number 10. I hope I didn't chop that up. Real quick, any comment on the fact he has short arms, Mauigoa, in terms of how that'll affect his play?
Mauigoa. We'll just go ahead and fit it. No, again, he's got enough length. Again, the length that does not show up. Again, it's the Ruben Bain conversation. Again, expecting to see his name come off the board anytime here. Again, with Mauigoa, a super consistent player that you're going to plug and play. I expect him to stay on that right side. Expect him to be that, you're going to line him up there for 18 games every year. You're going to know exactly what you get from him. Super consistent, competitive. He's going to win a lot of his reps. You're going to just, mark that right tackle down spot and feel really good about it.
It looks like Jim Harbaugh is trying to do what he did with Baltimore. I mean, people don't realize it, but he built that team through the trenches, and got some good fits there. So you already talked about Monsieur Delane. I was telling Big Joe DeCapita, they traded away their top tier slot receiver. They seem to have a history of grabbing cornerbacks and developing. To me, that's the only logic I can see in making this move. That and Patrick Mahomes just can't carry a team anymore like he could early on. So am I looking at it from too much of a fan perspective or from the outside looking in?
I think you're letting that ship sail on Patrick a little bit early. Again, it was a down board, down year for that team across the board. Now, what they really lacked, again, on both sides of the ball, health. Again, you got to have some healthy players on the top end. But again, with Spags' defense, you got to have that guy. We've seen it be L'Jarius Sneed. We've seen other guys that have been like, all right, this is our guy. We're going to lock him up. All right, let's roll the coverage. Let's do things away from that player on the defense to confuse it. And again, with everything he wants to do on defense, you got to have a guy that you can really trust to put on an island out there. Again, in a draft where there were some true corner questions, again, the Tennessee kid, is he going to be ready? Is he going to be that guy? Delane was really corner one in this group. Again, one of the few positions where you could pretty much write that one down, that he was going to be the first corner taken, going clear up at number 6. Now, again, I think that's probably what surprised everybody, trading to go up to get him. But again, the reason the Chiefs do that is they probably had some intel that said, hey, he's going to go higher than everybody's expecting. And that's why you make that move, whether it's Washington, a New Orleans, a Cleveland, or even a New York. Again, you've got some intel that says, hey, this guy isn't going to make it to us. We better go up and get him.
And for the audience here, Ty Simpson just did officially go number 13 to the Rams. Real quick before I sign off, I love what I read about Sonny Styles. You yourself said next Bobby Wagner here. Well, how much of an impact is he going to have on that Washington defense, especially with the head coach? I don't want to say he's on the chopping block, but it's a make or break year for him.
No, I mean, again, you're ready to just ship guys out. Again, Patrick Mahomes, stick him in the nursing home. DQ's on his way out. Man, you're hard on these guys. No, again, Sonny Styles, I love him to this Washington team. Again, he is you named him, Bobby Wagner. Deion Jones was a Pro Bowl linebacker multiple years in Atlanta that we drafted. Devondre Campbell was a 5th rounder that made a lot of money playing in Dan Campbell's defense. Again, Sonny is going to allow DQ to do a lot of things with his fronts, in his coverage. He's got all the length he needs for some of the zone stuff he wants to do. He is going to be the alpha of that defense, which Q definitely wants. Again, if you're Washington, I think the board fell exactly the way they wanted it to. You go get your linebacker. And again, you're going to have one of the better linebackers in the NFL, I think, for a long time.
I am pretty hard. In fact, I tell Big Joe here, these ratings don't go up. You're out. And with that, I'm just kidding. With that, gentlemen, I will let you run your show here. It's great to have you on, Rodrik. And to the fans out there, thank you for having me on and dealing with me and Joe. The calm is yours. Goodbye. Oh, real quick, hold on. Let me plug my podcast here. If you love politics, if you love conservative politics, check out Fired Up. And then I also do the Red, White, and Rude, which deals a lot with culture. But this is a football show. But if you're looking for me, that's where I will be at on those podcasts. You guys take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Will. Have a good one. All right, Rod.
Man,
we got to talk about it.
Bringing the juice there.
What's going on with the Ruben Bain thing here? Ruben Bain still hanging around, still sliding down. Now, with Ruben Bain, before we get to him right now, I want to just touch real quick. Ty Simpson going to the Rams. I think this is the perfect situation for Ty. He can work out whatever kinks he has to work out with the Rams, not being rushed in, sitting behind one of the best quarterbacks in the league. What do you think about this move by the Rams?
Yeah, again, this earlier than everybody expected, right? Again, going, yeah, I was talking, it was going to be, the Cardinals at 3 was going to be too high. Do the Cardinals jump back into the first? Do they take them beginning of the second? That was kind of where it was going to be. I wasn't going to be surprised if we were a 1 quarterback first round here, but again, you nailed it. Again, getting there, working behind Matt Stafford, working under Sean McVay. Now, again, Les Snead better have, Sean McVay saying, hey, yeah, I'm committed for, the next number of years with this pick because, again, there's been plenty of talk, Sean McVay off seasons. Is he done? Is he moving on? Again, the fire must be burning real hot to make this pick because, again, this is a guy that Sean McVay certainly feels that he is going to be able to mold, develop. Again, not going to get a lot of game reps with Matt Stafford, though. Again, if you're putting up a lot of points, maybe get some second half time. Again, I think we'll see some Ty Simpson at some point this year. But again, the opportunity to go there, work in that offense, sit where he's going to behind Stafford, learn under Sean McVay and the coaching staff they have there. Again, it's an outstanding fit.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. And it's funny. Now we get to where the Ravens, oh my God, they must have hit the lottery on this by getting Vega Ioane for the Baltimore Ravens, selecting him at 14th overall. Wow. I got to say, he's one of my favorite offensive linemen, whether it be guard or tackle. I kind of had him as my number 1 overall lineman. I didn't see too many flaws in his game. What do you make of the Ravens? Is this just kind of them just capitalizing on yet another stellar draft in the beginning of it?
Yeah, again, the Ravens are always going to make good picks. This is, again, on Ione, this is, to me, what I saw was a gap scheme guard. I think that's where he's going to be. The surprise for me here is I had heard some rumblings that the Ravens, who have traditionally been one of the more gap-heavy teams, were going to get a little bit more zone into their offense, which surprised me when I heard it. And then I turn around and see this pick, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's not where it's headed. Because, again, gap scheme, big man, this guy can get downhill. This guy can move people. Again, that's been something that's kind of been a calling card of their offense is, hey, we're going to have bigger guys. We're going to play in the trenches, bully ball, physical. Obviously, you got Derrick Henry running behind him. Man, you feel really good about running behind either of your guards now. Again, eating up those ugly yards, winning that division in December. Again, very good. Again, one of these players where, again, not always going to be sexy, but it's going to be super consistent. It's going to be super gritty, tough, physical. And that's, again, that really fits the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens are changing, even though the guy in charge at head coach is a new one.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get to the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I gotta say, this is what we just mentioned his name, and then all of a sudden, here he goes to yet again another situation where I think Tampa Bay was praying that this would happen, but sure enough, it did. Tampa Bay gets their edge rusher and Ruben Bain Jr. going to Tampa.
Yeah, again, it's good teams. Good teams will sit and be patient and let guys, again, the way the first round is going to fall. Again, I am sure Jason Light and crew, Todd Bowles down there, is it, hey, is this realistic? Yeah, it's realistic. Unlikely? I don't know. Again, the fact that Fano goes where he does, the fact that Caden Proctor goes top 15, the fact that Allen goes top 15, the fact that Simpson, Delane, like all these guys that were mocked right around 15, that again, everybody, again, the consensus on these guys, the public consensus was that, again, there were going to be a bunch of these guys that, hey, could go between 10 and 20 and not going to surprise you. The fact that Bain falls to 15, you're going to get a good player there. And again, perhaps it's the exact guy they were hoping. Again, obviously comfortable with everything off the field that Ruben Bain has done. Very comfortable with, the arm length. Again, the production you put on the film. I think they're that draft room has to be ecstatic right now.
They gotta be. I mean, Ruben Bain, and I had honestly initially I had concerns with the arm length and everything, but then when you really start to watch him play, and it doesn't matter what the arm length of the tackle he went up against, he just finds ways to get home. He has tremendous power, and I love the fact that he utilizes their levers against them. He throws them off, displaces them, and ends up running right around them or through them even. But I like Ruben Bain a lot, and Tampa Bay, man, I can't believe he went all the way down to 15. But this is why we watch the draft, because you never know what's going to happen. Now we're coming up on the Jets with the 16th pick here. The New York Jets, they go David Bailey with the 2nd overall pick. What do you view the Jets, how they're going to attack with the 16th pick here? What do you think they're going to go with?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I think there was a scenario where you're thinking, again, either Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, even, again, you're sitting there hoping one of those guys could be in this group. Again, if you start talking about pairing guys with Garrett Wilson there, again, you need some offensive firepower. Who your quarterback is, again, that's perhaps they're playing for next year. They're going to see how it all plays out. But you go get a Big X. You go get a Denzel Boston type to again kind of pair, and you start talking about fitting that wide receiver room. You don't necessarily want a bunch of Garrett Wilson because they have different skill sets. Is it Denzel Boston the right guy here? Do you perhaps look at Kenyon Sadiq? Get another big time tight end here. Again, there's a number. Unfortunately, when you're not a great team, there's a number of ways you could go and be right, and that's they're certainly in a situation here. Again, that is the corner from Tennessee, Jamon McCoy. Is he in play? Again, they pull the card on anybody here. I'm not going to be surprised. But again, I start thinking about that wide receiver room, and you want to upgrade that.
Adding an offensive weapon would be key at this point. Like you mentioned, they got Garrett Wilson, but man, they really need to continue to build on that side of the ball with weapons. And honestly, you hit the nail on the head, my friend. The pick is going to be tight end Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, a guy who I'm an extreme big fan of him after starting to watch just how he moves athletically is ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense at all. Guy his size and as chiseled as he is, running a 4.40. Are you kidding me? This guy, you could put him as a slot receiver. Put him out there as a slot receiver. Let's see any corner try to stop him. Man, I think great selection, offensive side of the ball. Just like you mentioned, you did mention his name, so you called it, my friend. I think the Jets hit the nail on the head with this one.
Yeah. And again, we saw him line up at Oregon in the slot a lot. Again, they had two really good tight ends out there in Eugene. And again, Sadiq you're going to be able to do a lot with him. And again, when you think about versatile offenses that are going to find different ways week in to week out, you find a guy that's going to be able to make plays, whether, again, as a blocker, which he's got plenty of grit, toughness, knows how to play with his hands. He's got that edge to him. Again, he's also going to get out there, be in space, catch the rock, get down the field again. It's a good pick. Again, a player wouldn't have surprised me if he goes higher than this, but again, the Jets patience it. Two really good players in the first round.
I gotta say, they did well with their 2 first rounders, so we'll see what else happens, going into day 2 for the Jets. But real quick, MF Gaming 4400 said, "What do you guys feel about linebackers going so early?"
Yeah, I mean you're talking Arvell Reese at 5 and Sonny Styles at 7. Again, Arvell Reese, what's he going to play for the Giants? Again, with the way
Hmm.
that defense is constructed, I expect him to actually be more of a stack linebacker there that they utilize in some of their more cheetah packages, more their, again, third and long, known passing situations. Again, a stack linebacker that, again, I've said it all along, probably the best pure traits in this class. When you talk height,
Hmm.
weight, speed, athleticism, twitch, again, this guy, there's not a lot he can't do finding the right spot for him. So again, you get him a player like that at 5. You have a vision for him, which John Harbaugh is going to have a vision for this player, bringing him to this team. Again, it's not surprising. And then again, Sonny Styles, again, he is ready to go. We haven't seen guys with these kinds of traits real often. When they do, they go up this high. Again, we may not see another one now till round 3. Who knows? But again, 2 of the higher pure trait guys in this draft coming off the board in the top 10 doesn't surprise me. And they're going to be linebackers, but they're football players.
Absolutely, and you said it, football players. Not only are they just football players, but with those elite traits, it makes them so special. And that's really what you want when you're picking in the top 10. You want a special type of player, a guy who's going to be a difference maker for you, whether it be linebacker, corner, wide receiver, quarterback, whatever. And that's what some of these teams have gotten. I'm really I'm a little surprised though, honestly, that Sonny Styles didn't get selected by the Giants at 5. I was a little surprised. I thought that might be a good target area where he would go. And Caleb Downs to me went a little bit lower than I anticipated. And the Cowboys kind of jumped the opportunity by swapping picks with the Dolphins to trade up one spot and getting Caleb Downs. What do you make of that move from Dallas? Is this a player that is too good to pass up for them, that they were like, "Hey, let's just go up and get him now"?
Yeah, again, I think this Dallas one, there was a lot of smoke about Dallas wanting to go up and get Sonny Styles. And again, they
Mhm.
may have been, again, that phone calls may have been happening. But again, the price tag was just too high for him to go get him. Again, some of these teams, you're probably talking the Titans at 4. Hey, no, we've got to go get our receiver. We're not going to move back. Like obviously the Chiefs went up to 6, and then Washington wasn't going to get off that one. Again, hard to when you talk a couple of these teams in division, man, the division price tag goes up a little bit. So again, it just becomes too rich for the Cowboys to move up. But again, you're patient. You like Caleb Downs. Again, this was a spot that I thought Ruben Bain might come off the board. Again, at 5, the Giants were really connected to Caleb Downs with everything that they had been doing. So again, we've you've got good teams being patient, and a team in Dallas that hasn't always been patient,
Yeah,
and
right.
is willing to move and shake to move up in the draft, sitting there and getting Caleb Downs, who again there were a lot of people that had him as maybe the second or third best player overall in this draft. So again, credit to Dallas to just letting him fall to him.
Yeah, and we got the Detroit Lions on the clock. I kind of really look for them to rebuilding this offensive line. It seems like maybe the better target would be offensive tackle at this point. For the Lions here, do you view it the same way? Are they going to attack offensive tackle or offensive line that way?
Yeah, I think you certainly could see it again. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions are getting some phone calls here. Again, they are again they don't mind the analytics approach. Brad Holmes does a great job there. Again, do you think about a Monroe Freeling, the Georgia kid? Again, is he going to grow into our Taylor Decker on the left side? Do you go with more of one of those big guys on the inside? Again, I think there's a lot in play for this team here as they're sitting here, and again, nothing. When you start getting down here, again, what teams value in terms of what they want to do differently in
Mhm.
26 than they were in 25. Again, what little tweaks? What do we need to be able to do what we want to? That's the hardest part about trying to mock, trying to project, trying to do any of this stuff is we don't know what the plans are for 26, and even if a lot of that coaching staff is the same, even just changes in philosophy and changes in the way you want to attack can certainly affect your draft board.
Absolutely. And here we have the pick from the Detroit Lions. It is none other than offensive tackle Blake Miller from Clemson going to Detroit. Definitely thought it was going to be an offensive lineman. I think they need to continue to rebuild that O line after losing a couple guys. Uh, what do you make of Blake Miller? Do you think this is too early for him? Do you think this is right about where he should go?
This is real early for me, so I have 2 questions on this one.
Okay.
One, it's very early for me. 2 is this guy to me is a right tackle. Now,
Yeah,
again, maybe they finally pull the trigger. Maybe they say we have to move Penei Sewell over to the left side. And
I
again,
think that's what they're going to do.
I think you almost have to at this point. Now you're taking arguably the best right tackle in the
Yeah.
NFL and saying, hey, we want you to be, learn a new position. Again, I've talked
Hmm.
about it. Left tackle, right tackle. Oh, yeah, they're both tackles. There is a lot of differences in playing left tackle and right tackle. And again, I believe
Yeah.
Penei can get it done. The fact that he hadn't to this point, again, says a lot about Taylor Decker. Again,
Hmm.
Blake Fisher to me is, again, I was more in the 3rd round on this kid. I think he's got some
Yeah.
real limitations from an athletic standpoint. He's very experienced. He's going to show up to play, but I did not view this guy as I think this is a guy that you live with as a starter. He's a solid starter. I don't think this is going to be a one that just really Lions fans are going to love.
Yeah. I mean, I I honestly for Blake Miller, like I do view him the same way. Like he is purely a right tackle. They're obviously going to have to move Penei Sewell to left, and however that transition works, will it work or not work? Now, let's just say worst case scenario, it doesn't work. He's struggling on the left side. Now Detroit's kind of handcuffed and saying, well, we drafted Blake Miller to be our starting right tackle, but now we've messed around too much to where we've hindered Penei Sewell. Now it's a mess. Now it's like, do you move Penei Sewell back to right tackle, and then Blake Miller just becomes a glorified backup, or it's almost like a logjam in a certain view.
Yeah, and again, you start going down that path, and you don't want to spend too much time on it. But again,
Hmm.
did they draft? I was going to look up their depth chart real quick.
Yeah.
Is Blake Miller a guard for him? Do they love him as a guard? Is that going to be a conversation again?
Mm,
Blake Miller's been a tackle. He's played a ton of games,
right.
54 games. Um, over 3,700 snaps there at Clemson. Again, everything says this guy is going to be plug and play, ready to go. Maybe they view this guy as a Taylor Decker replacement, where it's not going to be sexy, it's not going to be top end of the NFL, but he's going to be consistent and solid. Um, Again, there's a lot remaining to be seen on this one. It'll be very interesting to see where these guys, Penei and Blake, line up. Come mandatory mini camp in June, and there'll be plenty of stories written between now and then about where they will end up.
Yeah, I gotta say, with the NFL moving, shrinking the time slot to 8 minutes a pick, this draft is really kind of humming along. It's
It's
like
flying by.
as soon as we talk about one pick, another pick is just about already selected, and that's where we're at with the Minnesota Vikings. Before we get to the pick, I want your thoughts on Minnesota. I know there was a lot of talk around maybe drafting a safety at this point. I know from an outsider's perspective looking in, and maybe people were saying that they were going to target Dylan Thieneman in the first round, but with the Minnesota Vikings, they could go a different direction. Like, would it be maybe they kind of look at maybe D line to kind of reshore up that defensive line that isn't really all together just yet? I feel like they could use better interior D linemen than what they have at this point. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, Thieneman makes a ton of sense. Again, McNeil Warren, the Toledo safety,
Oh
makes a lot of
yeah,
sense here. Again,
yeah.
either of those guys could certainly be in play here. Again, Avion Terrell, quote
The
unquote
corner.
undersized corner that again could certainly fit in that system. He's going to be a man guy, could play inside and outside. Again, I think any of these three DBs are probably the pick right here. Again, the wild card in this group, Cade McDonald out of Ohio State. If you want a big, again, they did a lot last offseason to try to address that interior, and it did not work out real well for them. Some of those guys underachieved a little bit, and they've since moved on from a couple of them. If you really like the run stuffer, what he can do on that defense, it'd be certainly a little departure for Brian Flores, but I expect him to stay in the secondary here.
Well, the pick is in, my friend, and I'm going to be honest. I'm a little concerned with this one. It is a defensive tackle, but it is Caleb Banks from Florida that they selected in the first round. Had injury concerns going into the draft. I know that he had medical recheck from other teams that were trying to kind of nail down just how healthy this guy is going to be, maybe by training camp. Sounds like the doctors signed off and said that he should be fully healthy by training camp so he can at least participate in that. But we got to talk about longevity. Can this guy stay healthy? Hasn't really done it that often in college football, but when he is healthy, at least in college, he's super dominating and disruptive. I gotta say, I'm shocked that Caleb Banks went this early, nonetheless, in the first round. Rodrik, what do you make of this selection?
Yeah, the traits say yes. The overall profile says, "Who
What are we doing?
you are betting on the upside on this one."
Yeah.
Without question. Again, guys this big, guys this athletic, but you haven't stayed on the field. Again, they're always going to say if you're injured in college, injured in the NFL, that's always going to be kind of the calling card on it. Is 6'6", 327. Now, again, the concern with the Cade McDonald in this defense is Brian Flores wants to get after it up front. He wants to blitz. He wants to move. Cade McDonald's not fit for that. Now, again, probably the best player, again, just pure defensive lineman in this group in terms of the run stopping. Caleb Banks might have the highest upside as a rusher of these interior guys. I probably like Peter Woods' upside a little bit more. I also really like Christian Miller. Caleb Banks, again, Brian Flores must have been really comfortable. They must have done a lot of work, and that medical team, man, they must have been living in Gainesville for a good portion of this draft process to feel good about this one. Because again, they were the group that was going to have to sign off on this one.
Right.
And again, it's always one of the things you get it out of scouts' hands, out of coaches' hands, into the medical hands. And again, you trust those guys, you trust the group that you have. And this is a big pick for that Minnesota training staff. We'll say it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Vikings go and they get their guy. They're hoping that can stay healthy. We'll have to wait and monitor that as we get closer to the season. But and nonetheless, moving on now. We got the pick already in for the Carolina Panthers. Not really much time to talk about what they're going to be looking at, but again, we're going to see another offensive tackle go here. And I know a lot of people were high on this guy coming out of Georgia. Monroe Freeling ends up going to the Panthers, further shoring up that young already. That team is so young already, and now they continue that trend with Monroe Freeling. Do you think Monroe Freeling is going to just come in and start right away at tackle, or um,
Yeah,
does he
I
have
do.
any concerns?
Yeah, again, experience is one of those concerns for him. Again, when you start talking Monroe Freeling, you're talking a player. Again, when you start talking about upside, again, as much upside in this group is about anybody. Again, looks the part, has all the length, is going to grow in this offense. Again, this guy is athletic. He's got all the traits to do it at 6'7", 315. Again, he is that guy. Again, the fact that Blake Miller goes before Monroe Freeling surprises me a ton, just because the upside. Again, I think this. If you're the Panthers, you're ecstatic. If you're Bryce Young, you're ecstatic. Again, Dave Canales, you're ecstatic. Dan Morgan just sits there, lets a really good football player fall to them. Perhaps the highest upside offensive lineman in this whole group. Again, you talk him and Caden Proctor in terms of, hey, who could reach the highest ceiling? I think it's going to be one of these two guys, and is going to go to a situation there where I don't think it's necessarily he has to be a dominant starting left tackle from day one. He's going to get a little bit of time. They're going to do some good things to develop him there. But again, outstanding pick for the Panthers here.
Yeah, and it sounds like we got a trade for the 20th pick. The Philadelphia Eagles moved from 23 to 20 with the Cowboys. Cowboys moving down to 23. I'm curious, Rodrik, for the Eagles moving up of 3 spots. What do you think they're really targeting? I thought early on, if Kenyon Sadiq was kind of around here, they would make that move and go get him. But he's not on the board. What do you think they're going to be targeting position wise?
Eagles, Steelers, Chargers. Let's see here. That's a good one. That's not a long move. And you
Yeah.
did say it was the Cowboys moved up to the Eagles?
No, Eagles moved up from 23 to 20. Cowboys moved
The
down
Eagles
to
and
23.
Cowboys traded. So Howie
Yes.
paid the
Interdivision
division tax.
Yeah.
Paid the division tax on it. Again, Howie's going to be aggressive if he's got it. Again, this is going to be a player that Howie probably had ranked in, right around 10 to move up 3 spots. Again, a player still sitting here. Again, does it become one of those safeties? You lose some guys on the back end. You want to short. Is it Tiedemann? Is it McNeil Warren? They obviously have gone the Toledo route before. It's a good one.
This is. I'm actually surprised that both these teams made a trade because they're in the division. I didn't think I would see that happening. But then again, let's see. It looks like the Eagles traded with Dallas. Eagles receives the 20th pick. Dallas receives the 23rd, 114, and 137. Making that move.
4th round? 2 4th rounders?
That is, yes. Yep. That's 2 4th rounders.
All right. Gives you some ammunition to do some more moving if you want to, if you're the Cowboys. But again, it tells me the Cowboys probably have 3 or 4 players on the board they'd be comfortable with here. Again, if you're going to move down that many spots, it's we like these, say, 3 guys. We're confident one of them is going to fall to us at 23. Let's go ahead and grab a couple extra picks. And again, you're not. It's always a question scouts get asked this, through the draft process is, you like this player? How much do you like him? If he's lined up, if we see him twice a year in Dallas, in Philadelphia, if we see him twice a year, are you concerned this player is going to beat us? And that's always one of those things that can give you real clarity as a scout. Because I've been on both sides of it where, again, man, this player is really good. Again, if he goes to New Orleans, are you worried about him? It's like, no, I guess maybe that's fine. He can go there again. I guess it's a level of like, not level of love. And again, I would expect that Dallas to be in one of these spots where, they like players, but aren't concerned about him going to Philly.
Yeah. So it looks like the Eagles made their pick. It is wide receiver from USC, Makai Lemon. Myself, I'm not the biggest fan of Makai Lemon. I think he's a good player, no doubt about it. But again, I think taking a slot receiver, I understand he's got phenomenal hands. He's got great route running skills. He's got that physical body type that you like. He can bounce off of defenders and keep it moving. But again, the Eagles must really love Makai Lemon to make this move, and also because they kind of value a guy that can be in that slot and be there down in and down out. Rodrik, I know that you're a fan of Makai Lemon. What do you think about this move for the Eagles? Does this indicate anything extra? Like, is this also a move that is going to further prepare them to move on from AJ Brown?
I mean, that's certainly where everybody's going to go with it, right? Again, regardless of anything, again, very different skill set than AJ Brown. Again, they're not replacing AJ Brown with Makai Lemon. Very different skill sets. Again, the Eagles, if you want to talk about struggles, especially the quarterback spot this last year, it seemed like the game they really wanted to get the ball downfield more this year than I think we had seen in the past. And with Makai Lemon, you're going to have a really consistent short to medium range wide receiver that can do a lot with the ball in his hands once he gets it. So again, you talk about a pick that is going to be a bit of that security blanket. Is going to be your underneath check down that still has some really nice ability down the field, setting up blocks, being physical with the ball in his hands, getting yards after the catch. Again, I expect to see him a lot out of the slot. I expect to see, again, a lot of bunch formations, getting Devontae Smith, maybe A.J. Brown, who knows, and Makai Lemon doing things where, again, who are you going to go with? Who are you going to, track deep? Who are you going to go with underneath? And, again, I think it's going to be a really nice piece. Again, get Jalen Hurts back to improve that completion percentage and get back where he is expected to be.
And now we are in Pittsburgh for the draft, but also the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock at 21 here, and still no answer from Aaron Rodgers whether he wants to continue his career and play for Pittsburgh.
We know anyway.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Yes. But there's been a delay in his decision officially. So I'm curious to see what Pittsburgh does here. I don't think it's going to be for a quarterback, even if Rodgers decided not to partake. And obviously, with both Ty Simpson and Fernando gone, there's really no reason to take a quarterback here in the first round. So for the Steelers here, now there is some issues at left tackle for them. I know their tackle has a neck issue, and they're monitoring if he can come back healthy enough to play. In this situation here at 21, could this be a spot where Max Ianaker or Ian Achor, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but it's one or the other. Do you think Max might go here, even though he's a younger prospect, still needs to kind of develop a little bit more? Or do you think they go a different route?
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be one. I'm thinking about a guy like Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana.
Okay.
Again, not necessarily Denzel Boston. I think they have their big already. Again, wouldn't surprise me if a Peter Woods comes off the ball here, another big interior disruptive guy. They went with the Oregon kid last year who missed a lot of the year. Obviously, as good as Cam is getting a little bit aged on the inside. Again, I could see him going with the big into the trenches. Again, maybe
so this could be Caden.
It could be. It could be. This could be that spot for him. Again, you're getting all the way down to like a Caleb Lomu at tackle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do here. I don't think they've spent a lot of resources at corner. We'll see. Again, trenches, Pittsburgh, or again, Omar Cooper Jr. would be the other one that I think may have a home here.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is with the way this draft has gone. This is why I love watching the draft, pay attention to these prospects, because it's very intriguing to see on draft day where NFL teams really do place them. How much do they love a guy? Is it a guy that outsiders are just looking at and saying, "Wow, this guy's got a tremendous physical attributes. He's definitely going to go high," but ends up not. So now we're seeing a guy like Makai Lemon, who initially a lot of people thought was going to be higher, and it just didn't happen. But here we are at 21 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we have yet another special guest that has just arrived. Let's bring him in here. If I can get down here and select him. But anyway, let's see.
And the anticipation is killing me.
I know. I got too many windows opened here. But anyway, the way this draft has gone, it's been going flying right by. And let's bring him in right here. There he is. Mr. J.J. Stokes. Man, the legend that is J.J. Stokes, Super Bowl champion with New England Patriots. J.J., welcome to the show. draft cover.
Thank you for having me. It's funny because honestly, I just came from my son's little league baseball game, and we were able to make things happen. And it's funny. The kids are giving me updates on who was drafted in the first few picks as I'm sitting out on the baseball diamond. And so I get home obviously with a quickness to see what's going on. So thank you guys for having me. I do appreciate it. It's a fun time of the year. That means football's getting started again.
Absolutely, man. It's that time of the year where all teams look to get better no matter what the situation is. JJ, I got to ask you, now that we have you on the show, what was it like for you for the draft upcoming for yourself? What to expect? What were some of the things that you had to do and prepare for as it came to the draft?
The draft was actually kind of tricky for me because the things that happened with me were I remember working out for Green Bay, for Kansas City, supposed to fly to Philadelphia and New York, and that not working out. But I know that they're highly interested. So I was truly interested in playing for whoever wanted me. At no point did I get an indicator that San Francisco was going to do what they did at that particular time. So it was exciting, man. I'm a football lover. Grew up. I have 3 older brothers, all of whom played Pop Warner football, high school football, and one in college and one tried out with when they had the USFL. So football has been my life. And so, it was truly fun to see where I was going to end up, but give my heart to that city. And it turned out it was San Francisco, and that's what happened.
Excellent. Love it. We are on the clock with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. The Steelers have selected it. I got it right, Rod. I got it right. Offensive tackle Max Ianichur is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. A kid that I highly value. He's super young, 20 years old. There's a lot to like with him in terms of being able to be moldable. It's still early on in his career, obviously, just having basically 3 years of college football to get prepared for the draft. But kid coming from Nigeria is great story, great kid. I can't wait to see him in the NFL, and I hope he develops to be an all-pro. Rodrik, how do you view Max Ianichur?
Yeah, no, again, you nailed it again. Ton of upside with this pick again. For him being young, for being a little bit inexperienced in a lot of ways, again, his game was pretty consistent. And again, that's what you like to see with a lot of these young guys coming through is the consistency of tape. He's going to be expected to play early on and again needs to be consistent. Again, I'm expecting him to have a pretty hard guy there behind center to keep happy, and he's going to hear about it when things aren't right. But again, a guy that he has really risen to every occasion, every opportunity he had. So again, good pick, not just a pick for this year for the Steelers, but one that again, Steelers make good picks for the future pretty regularly. So I think that's one of those.
Yeah, JJ, you got to feel pretty good. Every time you had a good offensive lineman blocking for your quarterback, so then you'd be able to get the ball once in a while, right?
Fighting between Jerry Rice and T.O., that was hard times, man. You know what I'm talking about? That was hard times. But yeah, we were all fighting for it. But let me just say this. When we had offensive lines, that's the foundation of every team. Offensive line first because you need to score points. Defensive line also because you need to put pressure on the running game and pressurize that quarterback. So those are the foundations of every team. It's not the sexy pick. Sometimes it is. I remember a time when before I got there, Tony Manders, that was a sexy pick for Green Bay back in the day. But you don't really find linemen as being that sexy, but there are some sexy picks at linemen. It's rare, but that's the foundation of every team. So you understand that without them, nothing else happens. They do the dirty work. They're the grunt. And they have. if you align offensively with the offensive linemen, sometimes when you're getting handed to you, those linemen will come help you out and set those DBs or those safeties straight when they try to take those cheap shots. So I've always befriended the line because I knew that's where our bread was buttered.
Absolutely. Max, Ian Aker. I'm still trying to figure out which way to say it. But again, really good kid. I mean, 6'6", length. You're looking at 220. I really like this kid. He was one of my favorite offensive linemen, and I kind of crossed my fingers a little bit for him to get to the second round, but I didn't think that was likely. And sure enough, he comes off the board at 21. Now on the clock will be number 22, the LA Chargers. LA Chargers could go a few different ways. Do you think they go? Think there's a guard in this draft at this point where maybe it could be Emmanuel Pregnon, maybe it could be a Chase Basantis. For the Chargers here, I don't think they're going to go receiver. I think they love to build those trenches, or could it be a D tackle with like a Caden McDonald still around there? Roderick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, again, I think there's a couple open. I think they could go back outside, go corner again here as well. I think
Okay.
again, Adrian Terrell. I think this is really going to be where we're going to be seeing his name. If you're comfortable with your Mod McCoy's, medicals, I think that's one. Again, I also think Keldrick Falk from Auburn could be in play here. Again, add another edge
Okay.
rusher. Obviously, again, they've just haven't been able to stay healthy there. Again, grab another young piece. Again, if I'm probably I'm probably circling Falk here is the guy that I would pick. But again, they got some good options here, and if they can keep that O line healthy, again, one of the better looking O lines in the preseason, and it all fell apart real quick for them.
Right on. JJ, for you played with New England, you played with the 49ers. What are some of the things that you look forward to in the draft when it comes to those teams? Do you still root for those teams, or are you kind of like just a overall NFL fan at this point?
I love watching NFL games, and I would wake up early, get everything done. Now, I usually get things done the day before so that I don't have any honeydews. The thing that I can't avoid is my kids' games, whether it's soccer, basketball, baseball, and even flag football comes on Sundays. So it's my time gets taken. So I have to record everything that comes on, come back and watch it. But I still love the teams that I play with. I still have an affinity for. My heart still is in San Francisco, but I do look out for Jacksonville. I do look out for New England and wish them the best, especially having played 3/4 of a season with Vrabel. I wish him the best. He was a quality individual when I was there, and I understand that they got there in the first year, but I look out for those teams. I wish them the best, but overall, I love watching the game, especially the teams. Of course, I'm a receiver. I love the efficient passing games and the ingenuity that certain passing attacks have, and they're able to manipulate the defenses much better. It's exciting. Overall, everything is exciting to me.
So every year, JJ, do you root for more and more receivers to be drafted every year in the first round, or are you just like, whatever happens, happens?
I love for receivers to get drafted, but I don't root for them to be drafted. The ones that are putting the work in and able to be drafted, it's a blessing. But that's just the start of everything. Let's just be honest with it. A lot of guys get there and they say, "Oh, I've made it here." No. That is just the start. You're at 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. I mean, I'm a Martin guy, still wet behind the ear. Those kind of guys, they still have a lot of growing up to do. Thankfully, for me, I went to a veteran team that showed me how it was done. Didn't step out of line. But when you have a younger team, you kind of grow together. It just depends. What's the fit for that particular receiver? And if you go to a great fit for you as a receiver, I mean, you have a tendency to thrive.
Right. We got the pick in for the LA Chargers. It is a defensive end, Roderick, but it is not Falk. It is Akeem Mesidor from Miami, a guy that had age concerns coming in. And I want to ask both of you. I'll start with you, Roderick. For Mesidor being 25 years old, being drafted in the first round, the talent is there. You can see it. Guy's a beast of a defensive end. But with that age kind of coming into consideration, is this a bigger deal than people let on because it's basically his rookie contract before he gets to 30 years old? Or is this kind of just one of those overblown deals that people kind of like to talk about?
Yeah, I think it's going to be two things. I think it is, again, like Ruben Bain's arm length. Again, it is a little bit overblown. 24 to 25 used to be, it was an automatic scouting flag. And really, it just came down to I need an answer on why this is going to be an older player going into the draft. Again, it was pretty well written why he's out there. I also think that age number is about to go up in today's day and age of NIL. We're going to see players coming into the NFL at an older age. Not necessarily the first round. We're still going to get a lot of our underclassmen. We're still going to get a lot of, again, true third and fourth year players. But I think that average age of a draftable player is going to go up because guys are staying in college and making good money. And again, I think this could just be kind of an acknowledgement of that. And hey, we're going to get at least 4 to 5 good years out of him. If we get a second contract, great. If not, hopefully he helps us win a bunch of games in the meantime. And again, a player that is ready to go, polished as a rusher, has a lot of good stuff to his game.
And JJ, how do you feel about this whole age talk about these prospects, whether they be 24, 25, 26, whatever the case may be, coming into the NFL? Do you think that has any effect? Or again, do you agree with Rodrik that, age is just a number, and if you can play, you can play?
The more I think about that, the more I understand that as an offense and defensive lineman, I think you have tremendous amount of opportunity to play several years, whether it's defensive end coming off the edge or interior line. But here's the thing, like when I look at the skill positions, because it's quickness, speed, agility, those things dwindle when you get older. I think you can get smarter as a defense and offensive lineman to still manipulate things so that you can be effective later on. And we've seen that throughout the years. So I just feel like at those positions, it makes sense to go there. If you're trying to win immediately and you draft an older skill position, I feel like you're expecting them to come in and make a huge impact because of their age and they're more mature than an average rookie coming in. But in the interior line, offense, defense, and even at quarterback, honestly, because they can play forever, I think those make sense to have somebody come in that's mature, that can step right in and be effective immediately.
And as we're talking about the age gap and everything, now with the 23rd pick, the Cowboys traded with the Eagles, which was weird to me, interdivision trade. But now that they're picking 23rd overall, they go with defensive end Malachi Lawrence. Now, Rodrik, I know in our past conversations we talked about Malachi Lawrence and some of the things that he needs to continue to work on. Is this too rich of a pick here for the Cowboys?
This is this is a pretty rich one for me. Again, this is a guy that I was well lower than him to say the least. Well lower
like day
on
3?
him again. This one strikes me as is Al Davis picking for the Raiders again? Upside traits, flash. Man, again, not a bad player. I don't want to sit here and crush him.
Right.
He's a good player, but
right,
man, in the first round to go and get this end when some of these other guys are on the board that, again, Keldrick Falk, love the upside, has a lot to work on, but man, there's a lot. There's Zion Young, again, a lot of the same stuff as Malachi Lawrence. We just saw it a little bit more consistently. Gabe Jacques, Illinois, we talked about him. Again, even Cassius Howell out of A&M, but wow. This again, if you want to see it, it's hard to surprise me with first round picks.
Yeah,
this one may be the one this year.
Yep. So,
can I just say something? Because
ahead,
when you look at Jerry Jones,
mm-hmm.
he was the mentor. I mean, he was the mentee from Al Davis. You see a lot of similarities where they're more in complete control and they make from top to bottom, they're making all the decisions. So they're the same in that way. They also every preseason they used to play each other. Those two are connected in heart and spirit. And Jerry Jones still has those actions based on Al Davis. And I think Al mentored him in a way, and Jerry really looked up to him. They're making picks they feel like are based on what they think, regardless of what they've heard, regardless of what people said, regardless if there was somebody that they viewed as higher than him. And I'm talking about the experts outside of Dallas. They don't look at that. Al Davis didn't look at that. They want who they want, and they live and die by that. And it's been 30 something years. So they haven't going out on a limb like that hasn't always worked for them, but they still continue to do it because that's the way he knows.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, JJ, is that Jerry Jones is continuing to draft for Al Davis at this point, saying, "Don't worry, Al. I know you moved on, but I got you."
No, he mimics him because Al goes on a limb and sometimes he would pick people and you'd be like, why did they make that pick? And it was, he loved him all along, regardless of what was said about him, regardless of what experts had him rated. It didn't matter to Al Davis. That's kind of this pick right here. It didn't matter what it didn't matter that people were rated higher than him, that they felt like there was better quality guys. He thinks that that's a perfect pick for him and it fits their system. So they're going to do it regardless. They don't care what people think outside. And that pick shows that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. With the Malachi Lawrence surprise, everyone, this is the NFL draft. We don't get to pick for every team. It's interesting. And now we get to the Cleveland Browns, who they had an earlier selection, and now they've moved it, or they have the 24th pick. And this I'm a little surprised about, Rodrik, I have to admit. But they select wide receiver Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, the speedy receiver. They're going to have that speed on the outside for them, adding a wide receiver talent. With the 24th pick, and I know the guy has speed, but there are some things that he needs to continue to work on. Do you think this is too early for him in the first round, or do you think that the Browns, they know something we don't?
Well, I got to ask JJ, what's the number one job of a wide receiver?
Catch the ball and score the ball.
Catch the ball. And again, if you want to ask the questions about Casey Concepcion, it's the drops. He had some easy drops, some drops that, again, hit him in the chest. He is better having to adjust to a football. He's going to struggle catching the slant. Again, the crosser at 5 yards and he's got room to run. He's going to be thinking about that running lane. And again, that showed up on film. Again, I thought his traits were good. I was never as high on Concepcion's traits as a lot of other people were. Again, I didn't think he played quite as fast, quite as explosively as he tested. But again, always goes back to the hands for me. That's your number one job. And if he is a sufficient level hands guy, it is hard to improve those hands. You can either catch the rock or not. Again, this is probably about where most people thought he'd go. I had a lower grade on him. I thought this was more of a third-round wide receiver, a number 3, maybe step in as a number 2 for a week or two on your team. But again, the Browns go to get a guy for whoever ends up playing quarterback for him will have somebody that they can throw the ball at because he might not always catch it.
JJ, you have a super fan in the chat. Said, "Yo, my man JJ. Which wide receiver playing today do you think will rival the likes of Jerry, T.O., Moss, Megatron, or Larry?"
Wait. Let me just end that right now. None. I don't think, because 16 years, 14 for Ma and 20 for Jerry. There's some quality receivers out there that are doing spectacular things. And the longevity, I don't know. The numbers, you have to have a quarterback. They were fortunate to have all those things, and that's not likely to happen. Let me say that. But let me get back to Concepcion. The thing about him, when you talk about catching the ball, speed is definitely an asset. And I think what people are starting to do is think that they can work with somebody enough so that they catch the ball. And if you have them run particular routes not crossing routes, not quick routes, but routes down the field and out. They have time to adjust to the ball, but it's going to take a lot of work. A lot of these guys come in and you wonder how much work they've put in catching the ball. They run the routes. They're fast as lightning. But at the end of the day, that receivers coach has to spend time with him. He has to spend 20, 30, 40 an hour on the jugs before practice. He has to catch all the balls from the quarterbacks, get accustomed to that. He has to spend 20, 30 minutes after one-on-one receiving, catching the quarterback's balls. He has to dedicate himself because, like I said, it's just getting started right now. And if he's a person that you can't rely on, then it's a wasted pick. If he's a guy, especially in the first round where the expectation is so much higher than any other round, he has to now say, look, they've invested this in me. I got to go make sure I secure every catch thrown to me. I have the speed, but we're not always catching the ball down the field on post goes, post corners, deep outs. We have to use our speed to create separation in those shorter or intermediate routes. And I got to make sure the quarterback has enough confidence and trust in me that I'm going to make that play. So he has to take it upon himself. But at the same time, the receivers coach has a job to do and make sure he's prepared to catch every ball. And whether that's staying in after, before, during, getting extra work, that's where it needs to happen, especially as a rookie, because as a rookie, you get really excited during the course of the game. I've been there and I've dropped some passes as a rookie. I'm like, man, I've never in my life has this happened to me. But I think the excitement that you're in the NFL, it's a new situation and people are so excited and you just get overwhelmed. But what you have to do ultimately is calm down, relax, know that you played this game your whole life and just catch the ball. We've seen that with the Bengals receiver, him starting out in preseason, his rookie year, and now he's one of the highest paid receivers in the league. But he started out dropping the ball and they were on him because he just needed to settle down and play his game. And so I'd say that to this last pick also. Settle down, play the game, but get that extra work in because you have had drops that are unnatural.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you brought up the jugs thing because again, it was a conversation we had in the Atlanta draft room. A wide receiver a little bit further down the board that again had a lot of really good traits, and again now that's the always go to, right? Again, let's say, I'm just going to stick him. He's going to catch 50 jugs before practice, 50 jugs after practice, and there was a veteran coach who said, is he going to be sprinting across the field with a DB chasing him every time he catches out of the jugs? Because his point was the jugs are different than catching it in live action. Again, he didn't love the jug. His motto, which again could be true, could not be true. Again, you can either catch it naturally. There's a limit on how much better you're going to get. And again, perhaps we'll find out with Casey what that upside truly is working the jugs. Because again, you nailed it. He's got to calm down. He's got to focus, and he's got to again catch one ball at a time. And he put out his big long letter about being the best player in the draft. And great, you've written a check. You better make sure you got money in the bank to cash it.
Absolutely. And let me just add this. He brought an added dimension because he was in the punt return game. And that's another way that they can ease him into the mix. I don't know that they're going to do that being a first round, but you catch a few punts back there. I've been back there. Now you want to talk about lonely? You can catch a few punts and get settled in. And but ultimately, it boils down to you have to catch the ball, and you have a guy in Caleb Williams that's gonna get the ball there in a hurry. So your reaction time to his passes better be there, because if he doesn't have confidence in you and he lets that be known, then you're not going to touch the ball, and it's going to be a wasted pick.
Absolutely. And JJ, I wanted to ask you this: if you had to pick one trait for a wide receiver that they had to be absolutely no doubt about it, had to be great at the NFL, what would it be? Because I know it's tough. You can't have them all. You had to pick one.
I've seen and I continue to see a lot of receivers that they don't have the vertical speed down the field, but they have the quickness and they can catch the ball. And if you have quickness and can catch the ball, I think you can be a tremendous receiver in the right scenario, because I see some guys that they play the slot only, a lot of quickness, catch the ball. I see a guys outside, they got a lot of quickness, they can wiggle off the line and they can get separation and they can catch the ball. So the quickness, I think, for me is outside of catching the ball, quickness in your movements, whether it's linear or vertical, or side to side. I believe that is a huge issue, and it oftentimes get neglected because it's sexy to be a 4-3, 4-2 guy, but not everybody is that. So I think if you have a lot of quickness and you can catch the ball and separate, I think that you can't replace that.
Absolutely can't replace that. But the Bears can make a selection for us at 25 here. They go with safety Dylan Thieneman, strengthening their back end of their defense for the Chicago Bears. Rodrik, what are your thoughts about this player? I know we talked about him before, how possibly he could go a little bit earlier than this, but man, I think the Bears got themselves a win here.
Yeah. Again, if you're Chicago, Ryan Poles, you have to be happy about this guy falling to you. Again, not expected probably to be here at 25. You're happy if he is. Again, this is a guy that he's just going to be really solid in the back end of that defense. He's going to make sure everybody else is right. Again, he's going to be that back end piece that you can really trust. Again, he's going to make the plays he needs to. For me, he's not the most explosive. He's not going to make a lot of plays, but he's going to, make the plays that come to him. He's not going to go out and seek them. But again, good, solid pick here. Again, this is just a solid winning pick that you're going to need this guy to win in this division.
JJ, what was your nemesis when you played wide receiver? Was there a safety that you had a little bit of concern about, or a corner? Or?
No, I think that there were just, when we played the Atlanta Falcons, I remember a guy, and he was flashy, but he was actually, I think for me, is a fantastic DB. And he talked a lot. I think he got into it with Shannon Sharp back in the day. Ray Buchanan. Man, every time I faced him, I felt like I could get him off the line, but I would make a move whether I was breaking in or out. And he guessed. I say he's a great guesser. That's what I would say. Because no matter if I turned in and out and I'm looking back, he would be underneath me ready. But he was so much faster than I was. Like I said, I wasn't a speedy guy, but I just remember him being a guy that always read my movements really well, was able to make plays when I played against him. So, yeah, that would be a guy.
Gotcha. Coming up here, we have the Buffalo Bills that are going to make a selection now. Rodrik, we've talked about D tackles and how early Caleb Banks went. I gotta say, this has got to be the cream of the crop type of pick here for the Buffalo Bills, needing an interior defensive tackle, like a Caden McDonald or someone else that they view that might be this pick. Do you agree with that? They're going to go that same direction, or do you think they'll go a different way?
No, I think it's either interior or edge. Again, I think either of these spots are going to be prime for him. Again, whether it's a Caden McDonald, a Peter Woods. Again, I really like Kristen Miller. Again, you've got a bunch of edges here. You got, again, talked about Keldrick Fall, Cassius Howell. Again, could make some sense here. Again, that I like it a little bit later. Derek Moore would be a fit in that Buffalo defense. Again, it's going to look a little bit different this next year, but again, I think they stay on the D line there somewhere.
I stand corrected. A trade just happened. The Texans move up to the Bills selection. So the Texans were picking 28. They move up to 26, where the Bills pick, and the Bills move down to the 28th pick. The Texans are now on the clock. Let's switch roles now and talk about the Texans. Where do we think these guys are going to go?
I think we're staying. Honestly, I think we could be talking interior again. I think This could be a spot where, again, Sanford's again. What I'm trying to do is think of why did we need to hop San Francisco? San Francisco needs help on that D line. They could take one of these D linemen. So if I'm hopping San Francisco, it's because I want to make sure I get the guy I want, and I can't wait for San Francisco. So again, I think it probably makes more sense. Again, Houston's got two guys on the edge that are really good. So I think an interior guy with some pass rush ability. Peter Woods makes more sense than Cade McDonald, the way Houston plays that defense. Again, maybe they go somewhere completely different and surprise everybody, but that's who I'd be thinking about just from in terms of, hey, we got to hop San Francisco to grab a guy.
So JJ, when you were going to get drafted here, was there a team leading up to your draft process that you had good feelings about that you didn't end up getting taken by, or someone that you kind of were like, I really like that situation better. I might want to, I hope I get drafted by that team type of scenario?
There wasn't any team I hoped to get drafted by.
Okay.
But I assumed that the teams that came and worked me out personally were the Chiefs and Green Bay. And so I assumed that would be a pick that I would go to. The funniest thing is Seattle, Dennis Erickson told my father if he's available. I think that was the 6th, 7th pick, maybe, that they were going to draft me. And my dad's a military guy. You don't tell him anything that just you don't come through with. So I remember sitting at the house on the draft because I honestly, I didn't go to the draft because my family couldn't be there. They only allowed 2 people, and I had 3 other brothers that were so instrumental in where I was. So they didn't allow them to go. So I went to the house. I stayed at the house. So I assumed that I was going to get picked by Kansas City or Green Bay, and so the pick came up for Seattle, and they picked Joey Galloway. Joey Galloway, tremendous receiver, by the way. And my dad was furious, and I had to calm my dad down. My dad's a military guy. I calmed him down, and he's a man of his word. And so that went by. And then I assumed when Kansas City and Green Bay came up that I would be there. And when I found out that the 49ers traded up to get me, and I was pleasantly surprised because my brother won. Him and his wife were up in the Bay Area. My brother from San Diego married a woman from the city of San Francisco, and so I got a chance to come to the Bay, but be still with family. So I thought that was a tremendous thing. But watching Jerry and John Taylor run the show for all those years, I was excited to see that with Steve Young and the host of Niners that were already there. It was a blessing. You could only learn from the best, and I truly was able to do that.
Excellent. We have the Texans now. They've made their pick. It is for guard Kalen Rutledge from Georgia Tech. Rodrik, I'm a fan of Kalen. I didn't know if he was going to be in the first round or not, but this dude is a true mauler to the extreme. A guy that loves to finish you off, even though the whistle's blown. He's just a nasty player. Definitely fits. I feel like definitely fits the Texans to the D, like that physicality. Rodrik, what do you think about this pick?
Yeah, again, makes a ton of sense. Again, you got to protect Stroud. You got to get that offense back clicking again, both in the run game. They've got to. I'm sure they're going to address that running back spot, the running game more in this draft. They may draft a couple more offensive line, but by the time this thing's all done, got to protect the franchise back there in C.J. Stroud. And again, you go and get a guy that's going to be ready to play. Again, you talked about the nasty. Again, coming from Georgia Tech, really well coached. He's going to be ready to play in that outside zone offense. He's probably a little more of a fit for inside zone. But again, when you talk about those requisite traits, this guy would be a sufficient to good level inside zone blocker. What can we do to be a good outside zone blocker? Well, be relentless, nasty, and get after people. That's how you overcome some of those deficiencies you may have. I think that's Kalen Rutledge. And again, you find a way to, again, be really successful in what they're going to do there in Houston.
You know,
Now we get. Go ahead,
the
JJ.
funniest thing about like when you say he's big and nasty, and then you see the highlights of him being big and nasty, it reminded me a lot of a guy that I had the opportunity to play with, Kevin Gogan. I mean, he
Oh
was
yeah.
big and physical and nasty, and after the play, you could see a few jabs to the solar plexus, and it was just like, yeah, I like that. You got to you have to set the tone as an offensive lineman. And they like when you get a big nasty lineman, and we had a lot of them when I was in San Francisco. I loved it. You got to love it because you set the tone for and the tempo of the game. And when you get a guy that's young and already has that mindset, I mean, that's infectious. The line loves it, the coaches love it, the offense loves it, and the defense doesn't love it during practice, but during the game, they absolutely 100% support that.
Absolutely love it. And this is the part of the draft where it seems like there's an awful lot more trades that are starting to transpire at the end of the first round. We have yet another trade. The Dolphins go from 30, trade up to 27 with the 49ers. 49ers moving down. Dolphins are now on the clock, and it looks like they made a selection. It's going to be cornerback Chris Johnson from San Diego State. Rodrik, I know that you're a fan of him. I'm a fan of him. How do you view the fit here for the Dolphins?
Yeah, again, a team that's they need starters at a lot of spots. This is a true if you want to talk about a multi-year rebuild, they have really torn this thing down to the studs. And again, this is about going and getting a player that that fifth-year option is big on this player because I think there's going to be some growing pains coming from a smaller conference at San Diego State. Again, his eyes will be opened up a little bit to what week in, week out, seeing NFL wide receivers, but he's got ball skills. Again, this guy is scheme versatile. Again, you can line him up in man, looks comfortable in zone. He's fluid. He's got the length. He's got the side speed, athleticism. Again, there's a lot of reasons why you just like this guy as a corner, and one of those ones that again probably flew under the radar a little bit, being an Aztec out of San Diego State. But man, there's a lot to like with this kid.
Excellent. JJ, I got a question for you. So, when you played against various types of corners, who was the biggest trash talker that you had to face?
Trash talking. I got Madison out of. He was with the Miami Dolphins. Matter of fact, they had a duo. Man, those guys they were just nonstop jibber jabber, and for me, I never really spoke unless you pissed me off, and then I would say something, but it was just direct, and but they had the skill, the technique. And they had a damn good defense, by the way, back then. So they knew that they were going to get to the quarterback with Taylor, and then they had Zach at the linebacking positions. They had Hall of Famers, and I honestly surprised that those guys they did a lot of talking, but they backed it up with their play, and I think they were a duo that both made Pro Bowls when I first got there. So they were tremendous with that, and did a lot of talking. I'm from San Diego, so I do know a little bit about San Diego State, and I got a chance to watch this kid, and he has good makeup speed. He has good technical skills when it comes to playing the cornerback. So I love seeing that, and I appreciate seeing that. One, because I'm from San Diego, but two, I remember when a small running back named Marshall Faulk came out of there, and everybody was like, "Who is this kid?" Until he exploded. You couldn't help but notice that on the scene, and had a chance to play against that too. But this kid does an excellent job, technically sound, and you're right. He's going to face top guys, so he's going to have to over prepare with film because his footwork and technique are there, but you have to understand and learn the receivers and what they like to do and the movements. And it's going to be that type of adjustment for him. But I think he's up for the challenge. And, when you come from a smaller school, as they say, you always feel like you have something to prove. So he's going to have something to prove. He's going to have that chip, and he's going to be ready to play. I'm excited for him.
Excellent. Love it. You know what? We're going to keep the trend going. Why not? Because there's another trade. We got the Patriots moving up now to the 28th spot, and the Bills trading down to the 31st pick. Bills continue to move back. Now that's two separate moves. They've moved back, collecting more picks. Patriots move up to 28. There's obviously a player that they have in mind, and the pick is already in. They didn't waste no time. It is offensive tackle Caleb Lomu. Rodrik, I got to ask you, with all the rumors around Will Campbell at left tackle, and does he have to be kicked in the
Just
guard?
stop.
Is
Just
this a
stop.
move where Caleb Lomu is going to take over that right tackle position? See what I did
No,
there?
you've now drafted and have your 2 tackles for Drake May. Again, Will Campbell's going to be just fine at left tackle. He is going to grow. He's going to have another year of development. Forget the Super Bowl. Forget what happened in the playoffs. Will Campbell's a good player. You just now have your right tackle of the future. Again, this Patriots team had run out there some guys at tackle that I'm fairly confident they would have felt a lot better about at guard. Again, that had not been a real stable position for them. Again, I think you've now got your 2 guys to protect Drake May, get him comfortable in the pocket again, which was really apparent throughout the playoffs that he was not comfortable in the pocket. Again, you've got 2 big guys on the edges that he's hey, feel good. Sit back there, have a cup of tea, find an open wide receiver. Again, that's this kind of pick that the Patriots are making here to really solidify that offensive line.
Let me say this. When I hear an offensive line, it's for me, hearing an offensive lineman being selected from Utah, knowing that they've predicated everything off the run with the coach who's now at Michigan, but it's almost like me hearing they drafted a receiver for Ohio State. You know he's going to be ready because that's what they did. They threw the ball, their timing, their routes, their footwork. That's Utah. That's Utah offensive linemen. I think technique-wise, they are always sound. They run the ball, so they're physical. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer when you get a Utah, at least up until this point with the coach leaving. I don't know what you're going to get here moving forward, but when you get a guy that comes from Utah offensive lineman, you know that he's an aggressive guy. He can play the position and he's technically sound.
JJ, do you have time to finish out the first round with us, or do you need to take off?
You know I can wait to the 49ers pick. You know I can always do that. I'm going to stay here to the 49ers pick, even though I got people barking at me, but I'll do that.
All right, cool. So right now we have the Chiefs on the clock. Chiefs have already made their selection that quickly. They knew who they wanted. Rodrik, you talked about this guy a couple different times throughout the first round. He finally goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that is Clemson D tackle Peter Woods.
Yeah, again, good versatile guy. Again, was a top guy on a lot of boards coming into this year. Again, like that Clemson team, we've talked about it, underachieved. He underachieved. His flashes are top 10, top 15 flashes. The problem was he was really inconsistent. Again, really disappeared in some games. Again, that's the question that the Chiefs answered or tried to get answered. Teams tried to get answered through the draft process was the why. Again, an injury? Was he dealing something off with something off the field? Was he a little bit fat and happy? Probably got paid a little bit there to come back to Greenville. Again, teams had to get comfortable with those answered. But again, at this point, the first round, the Chiefs have hit on some pretty good defensive linemen around the end of the first round, beginning of the second. Again, they're betting on the upside with this one. Again, he's going to fit Spags' defense. He's going to be able to move around. He's going to be able to play inside and outside. Again, that's a good pick right here for the Chiefs.
Excellent. Now that brings us to Texans. Texans picking 30th here.
I got the 49ers.
Or 49ers here. I didn't change it. That's what it was.
Right?
Yep. 49ers right here.
Better be the
just in time. Just in time for JJ to bounce out as soon as the Niners pick.
This is fun times. I remember, I was from San Diego. Everything's laid back. I remember
Yeah.
draft day at the house, had friends over, had family there. We literally hung out. We had a little barbecue and sat and watched the TV. And when I got the call, I just remember this. I got the call and everybody's looking at me.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
I'm just smiling, and this is old school, you know. This is 1995, so it's been a while. But everybody's looking at me. I hang up the phone and I say thank you to Dwight Clark and thank you. I look forward to it. And they said they'd call back with setting up information to go. And I remember hanging up the phone. And I remember they wrote this story because I hung up the phone and everybody was like, "Who are you going to? What team are you going to?" And my brother is a receiver too. My oldest brother's a receiver too. And he said, I said, I'm going to San Francisco. And he fell out because Jerry and Andre Rison were his two favorite receivers at the time. And so I was like, I'm going to San Francisco. And I just remember screaming. So everybody starts running at me. Like we're in the garage, like with the TV on, garage door open. And I just start running away from everybody because I couldn't stop laughing. And I thought I was so excited. And we live. I almost ran around the whole block with everybody chasing me, trying to give me a hug, but I didn't quite make it that far because I wasn't trying to run that hard. So those are memories that I cherish because I got to spend it with my entire family. I would have loved to have been at the NFL draft, but at that time they only allowed 2, and I needed 5 to come.
Oh, wow. That was that small. They only limited
Yes,
it
they only
to 2.
allowed 2. Yes, and
Oh,
so
wow.
that was the reason why I didn't go.
So now you look at the draft nowadays, and you got like a whole platoon
They
in
have
the
everybody there. Like, why could they could have did that before? You know, it's just a restriction. Time always changes everything the way it should be half the time. So we'll see.
Gotcha. Well, JJ, I hate to disappoint you, but the 49ers will not be picking in the first round. They have also
Oh,
a trade. The
okay,
Niners will be trading down out of the first round. The Jets actually are trading up from pick 33. The
okay,
Niners will have the beginning of tomorrow in the second round to
okay.
make the selection. But JJ, really do appreciate you hopping on with us,
Thank you.
sharing some awesome stories about your experiences and everything, and giving your knowledge, breaking down some scouting for us. That was pretty awesome on some of these players.
Yeah, I love the sport. I love watching the sport. I love watching every team, but I love the sport. So anytime you guys are able want me on and reach out, yeah, I'm willing to come on. Thank you guys for having me too. This is a fun time, especially for these young men getting ready to explore and we're gonna have some new superstars going forward, and just love watching to see what ends up turning out.
Appreciate it, JJ. Super Bowl champion right there, JJ Stokes, everybody. Have a great one, buddy. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Rodrik, and then there was 2 to finish off the first round here. So with this trade is interesting. So the Jets trade back into the first round, already making 2 selections, now going to make a third in the first round. What do you make of this move here? I'm a little surprised that the Jets moved back in.
Yeah, I
They
think
obviously value somebody.
it comes down to one of these 2 corners. Again, they make the big
Okay.
Sauce Gardner trade. Again, get rid of that. Again, either it's McCoy, it's Avion Troll. One of these guys, I think they value enough to say, hey, let's go get that first round corner here. Let's fill it in, and kind of you moved a good one to the Colts, and so you got to find that guy. So they have to be thinking one of those 2 guys, I would think.
Absolutely. I think so too. Here's my concern about McCoy though. And obviously the medical is an issue that kind of populated up in the last 24 to 48 hours about will he need a second surgery? And it's not a concern about the ACL surgery that he just had. It's more of something that someone has to go in and clean up his knee a little bit more, which will sustain him and push him out yet another year. So you might not see McCoy till 27. And if that's the honest truth and that's a real deal for the medical, uh, do you even see McCoy getting picked in the first round, let alone maybe even the second round?
If that's the case, I think we see McCoy's name called somewhere on day 3. Again, if there's again, the issues with McCoy is it's been so long since he's already played competitive football. If you start talking
Right.
about having another surgery to get it right, that's when you start talking about, is this guy ever going to play again? You're not.
Mhm.
You're going to be hard pressed to spend a day one or day two pick on that. And again, if all of a sudden that's the case and teams have gotten that through medical rechecks and everything, um, man, it'd be hard. There'd be a lot of teams that just have him off the board. Period. Just can't draft this player knowing that the knee is, even if the knee could, if there's concern that the knee could go this year, he may
Yeah.
be off the board.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why like I'm surprised that McCoy hasn't been selected. But this is where I tend to think that because we're pretty much all the way through the first round, his name hasn't been called yet. I think that this medical concern is a real deal thing. So who knows when we're going to see his name called? If we see it called, uh, I don't think it'll be on day 2 if that's the case. But the Jets made their pick. They already traded back into the first round. They trade and they get another wide receiver. Actually, they go with wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana, a guy who I really like. Um, I think he has great route running ability. Obviously, the hands are there. We've seen some of the difficult catches that he's made. Rodrik, are you on board with Omar Cooper Jr. at this point?
I like the pick. The fit is a little surprising for me, just because again, I think this guy is a similar player to Garrett Wilson. And again, when you start talking about putting those guys out there, again, offensively, schematically, again, you've got two similar players. That's apparently what they want. And again, they got a good one when they do it. But again, traditionally, you think you start pairing guys with slightly different skill sets. And again, for me, Omar is, again, he's a good player. He's a first round wide receiver. He's going to be a starter early on. He can do a lot of that stuff. Again, it's just going to be two guys in Garrett Wilson and Omar that you're probably going to feel fairly similar about, through the year. Both guys are going to want targets, and you're going to hear about it from both of them because they're wide receivers, right?
Exactly, exactly. Uh, so the Jets they add some more talent at wide receiver, not the guy that we were kind of anticipating. However, um, now that we're getting down to and dude, I can't believe how many trades are happening right now. There's yet another trade. Um, the Buffalo Bills are trading out of the first round again and stockpiling picks after picks. They are setting themselves up for one heck of a haul in day 2 and even early on day 3. Um, wow. They are just really racking up on these positions here, or these picks, I should say. But the Tennessee Titans trade up with the Bills. Titans now have the 31st pick, and this is interesting. Could this be, I want to say, D tackle, maybe? Maybe there's somebody as an edge rusher that they really kind of covet at this point. What do you make of this move up for the Titans?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it there. Again, they probably surprised some people and went Carnell Tate on the offensive side with Robert Solid there now.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
Surprised me.
you've got a front office and coming from that Kansas City background, the Green Bay background with Chad Brinker. Again, this is a player that they had valued probably in the 20s somewhere. That, hey, we're not going to get him day 2. Let's jump up there, and all the trades, it is really indicative of this draft, where a
Mm.
lot of the first round guys that got drafted probably weren't going to be first round grades. But again, you still have to take some players in the first round. Again, you're going to get some really good players on day 2, and you could really see teams kind of jockeying for those day 2 picks with all these trades. But again, wouldn't be surprised if we see a D lineman or edge here with the Titans.
And I think you're right, my friend. They just put the pick in. It is the guy that you mentioned earlier, uh, Kedrick Falk. Keldrick Falk from Auburn. This is a guy that is just a massive defensive end who's going to hold up against the point of attack, can definitely play the run really well. And he's a high effort guy. I love the long limbs. You like what his capability is and what he can potentially be at the next level. He's going to continue to work on himself with better coaching, but Tennessee Titans get themselves a real deal player, Roderick.
Yeah, I mean, there were people making the argument that this guy was the second best pure rusher behind David Bailey, and again,
Okay.
it's easy to see why. Again, the length. Again, he's in. You start talking about ideals, and some of the guys hit him. Some guys, Ruben Bain, don't hit him, but they overcome it with a bunch of other stuff. At 6'6", 276, you've got the length, you've got the size. You're going to be scheme versatile. You're going to be an edge rusher for Robert Saleh coming off the edge, where again, you're comfortable probably kicking him down, getting some 3-tech matchups and some of your cheetah NASCAR package stuff. Again, this is a guy that Robert Saleh has to be ecstatic about getting here at 31 to fit his defense. He kind of makes that Titans roster over.
The Seattle Seahawks are with the final pick in the first round, the Super Bowl champions, Seattle Seahawks. Over under. Is there going to be a trade here?
No, they're going to sit and take it.
Okay. That's just the way it's been going towards the end of this first round to where it's
straight here before six straight traded picks here.
A lot of picks being thrown around. So definitely interesting to see where this happens. So Seattle, they come into the draft. They lost a few good players. You think of Boye Mafe, the edge player, goes to Cincinnati. Yeah, they lost a few players. And now with the Seattle Seahawks having this pick, this is another team that I feel like does a phenomenal job. The front office is tremendous. They do a phenomenal job of evaluating talent, staying put, like you mentioned earlier in the draft, how good teams will be patient, they'll hold their position, and the draft just seems to fall to them with high talented players. For Seattle, what do you think they're going to be targeting with the last pick in the first round?
If you would have told me the team most likely to trade out of this spot, it would have been Seattle. Again, only 4 picks in this draft.
Yes.
Only 4 picks. They got a first, a second, third, and then a 6th. So those scouts are going to be sitting bored on day 3, getting ready for the undrafted free agents. But again, you start thinking about some of the guys they lost. Are they going to reload? Again, find another interior, a guy with high upside. Are they going to go get a corner? Again, they could go back to the offensive line. Again, they're in a great spot here with a lot of really good options here. John Schneider, he's been there a long time. He's done it really well. Again, I could see this. Hey, who's the highest player on our board? I don't care what position he is. Let's go get him. Again, you're kind of sitting in a luxury spot here at 32 after winning the Super Bowl when the roster looking like it is. I could see again an Avion Terrell coming off the board here, and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren coming off the board here. Again, why not go grab a Cade McDonald, a Cassius Howell, some of these upside guys on the interior of the defensive line? This is a luxury pick, and hey, whoever's highest on our board, let's go get him.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I know that their offense. Obviously, Clint Kubiak is not there anymore, but I gotta believe that the offense they're going to run is pretty similar, almost identical, and keep the same thing going on offensively. Do you think they're going to still use a 2 running back system? Is this a spot where maybe a running back they'll look to kind of to pick? Is it going to be like the counterpart to Jeremiah Love, where Jadarian Jeez, I can't even talk now. Price. There we go. I got it, Rod. It took me a bit.
It's getting late.
Jadarius Price, is this going to be a spot for him, or they go a different route like you were mentioning, maybe D tackle?
Yeah, I think this is still a little early for another running back. Again, I like Price. I like some of these. I like the Arkansas kid, is Mike Williams. But again, probably still a little bit early for him. Again, I think this is more of a an impact piece you're expected. They've got a few running backs on that roster. It's going to be by committee, by competition. They'll roll a bunch of guys out there and kind of ride the hot hand. So again, I don't think it's going to be running back. I think it's going to be one of these defensive picks that they're probably is happy is still sitting here at 32.
Excellent. We have the pick in. What a surprise, because this draft, I gotta tell you, this draft flew right by. It looks like we're 3 hours, and it is all said and done in the first round. Seattle Seahawks do go with the running back, actually. They go with none other than Jadarian Price from Notre Dame. So they must have heard their ears ringing and said, you know what, we should just make this pick the way Joe would intend it to.
There's no other explanation.
But nonetheless, I think he's a talented back. I think if there was I think it's a little too early for Jadarian Price, but I think if it was going to be any running back, it would be him. This fills in nicely for their two-back system, obviously. But Seattle, again, like you said, only having 4 picks. I wonder if they're going to be looking to, with their next pick, going to be looking to trade down a lot more often, maybe even like the Bills did, stockpiling even more picks for maybe late day 2 into day 3, because they're going to need them. So, for Jadarian Price, do you think this is kind of one of those picks where some people view it as a little bit too high for Price, or do you think this is kind of like a thing where like they did their homework, they know what they're getting, and they seem pretty comfortable with this?
Yeah. Again, John Schneider doesn't pull this card if he's not real comfortable with again adding this running back to the mix. And again, of course, you use your Super Bowl MVP and Kenneth Walker, and you have to get some guys back. Again, Cam Akers is not going to be the answer. You hope that Zach Charbonnet comes back off that knee injury. Again, after that, you've got Cardia Wright, Emmanuel Wilson. You've got some good, solid guys, but this is again. I would not be surprised at all if Jadarian Price is running back 1 going into week 1. And again, that's a player that, again, in a lot of drafts, he may have been running back 1 if his teammate wasn't arguably the best player in this draft. So,
Right.
Again, people are going to hate the running back pick. It's not a running back, in the first round, but we get 2 this year, both from the same school. How rare is that? So it's again, Seahawks get better.
Yep. JJ, before you go, we're going to bring back in William. He wants to come in real quick before we depart. William Del Pilar will be joining back us yet again. William, where you been? We missed you this whole time.
Oh,
I can't hear you, buddy.
There you go. I said, Joe said I asked to come in, Rodrik. He was begging me. He goes, we need some life. So seriously, I just wanted to rattle off some quick hit questions for you, Rodrik. I've been reading your work a lot lately. Obviously, the last few weeks, I like your takes. And I don't want to take you out of your comfort zone, but let's look past today's draft day. Let's take a look at Fernando Mendoza. How long before he's able to make an impact on that Raiders team?
Rookie mini camp for the Raiders. Is it week 1 or week 2? After that, he'll be at OTAs. That is when he will make an impact. Again, Fernando Mendoza is going to be a guy. He's going to step in. I mean, for the goofy personality that we see, this is a locked-in leader that is going to, step in. And anybody that thinks Kirk Cousins, that's his job to, go take. This is Fernando's job. Again, he's going to step in. We're going to see a lot of good stuff for Mendoza early and often from on this Raiders team.
So you think he may start early on? Is that what I'm hearing, or you're just talking about leadership role here?
No, he's starting week 1.
Oh wow!
I don't think we'll see Kirk Cousins take a meaningful snap this year.
Wow. Okay. As a fan, because I'm no longer in the intricacies, I just assume it'd be some kind of transition, not to throw him into the fray. The Steve McNair approach, maybe not as long as Steve McNair or Patrick. I think. Well, let me ask you this from this perspective. Everybody says that the reason we have the Patrick Mahomes of today is because he sat a year behind Alex Smith. Then you look at Anthony Richards. You look at the poor kid in Minnesota who, I forget his name, out of Michigan. I mean, do you think maybe they should do more of a transition with let Cousins take the risk? I don't see Cousins as a leader or mentor. He's never struck me as that type of guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, doesn't care for other QBs. I've just never seen him in that role. What are your thoughts as a scout and having been in an actual NFL organization watching quarterbacks like that?
Yeah, again, it's fun and easy to say, hey, we need to, let him sit, let him do all this stuff. Again, you want your best players to play. And again, with the Patrick Mahomes today, we know, again, we forget what he looked like coming out of Texas Tech. There was a reason he slid to where he did, playing in that offense, how different that offense was from what he was going to experience in the NFL. Again, you're talking a completely different mental background, completely different maturity level. Again, there are certain guys that needed that time. Again, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. He looked like a different quarterback the first time he stepped on the field for Green Bay than he did his last year at Cal. Again, Anthony Richardson has not taken those steps yet. J.J. McCarthy, again, he was ready to go from a maturity and leadership standpoint, but again, came from an offense where he was not asked to do a lot in the pass game, and again, has certainly shown up. But again, Fernando, again, going from I believe it was Cal, what he was asked to do in a really short time there in Indiana. He was asked to do a lot really quickly and really didn't bat an eye, really didn't blink. Again, he's going to be ready to go. He's going to give them the best chance to win, which is ultimately, I think, why he's the week 1 starter.
Well, you know what his secret is? You give Cubans their espresso, and they're all over the place. They love their espressos. That's what I was told. I'm a Latino. They're like, you got to have the Cuban espresso. It's the best in the world. They love it. All right, real quick here, just 10 seconds. David Bailey, how many sacks this year?
11 and a half.
We get to the half. You really are. Jeremiah Love, how big an impact? Take out the running backs. Let's say your top 32. Where do you see him? Obviously, it's hard to predict. I'm putting you on the spot. I know it's speculation. But where would you see him ranking at the end of the season? Top 10 type quarterback, et cetera, et cetera?
Offensive Rookie of the Year, third total yardage amount for a running back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sonny Styles, do you think he's good enough to be Defensive Rookie of the Year? The way he's come out, it looks like he's come out ready to play.
Yeah, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Again, gets Washington back to the playoffs. That's a top 10 defense.
How long before we see Ty Simpson? 2 years, 3 years? I mean, because we know it's Stafford's year this year, right?
2 years. It'll be 2 years. I think Stafford will ride off into the sunset, and we'll see Ty Simpson. What is that now? 2028, week 1.
Wow. Okay. So Dylan Thine, is it Thieneman? I apologize.
Thieneman, yeah.
Thieneman. Okay. So you had some choice words for the young. No, he didn't have choice words, but you did question that he maybe overperformed at the combine. And my impression was he may not be as good as that film versus his actual game film. You talked about how you see him in certain schemes. Is he really, and this was your question, I think, is I'm not sure if I see him as a first round pick. Your thoughts on him going 25?
Yeah, again, I think that's about where, again, my individual grades are always going to be taken from my experiences. I think this is, again, when you start talking that draft process, this is, to me, a starter level player that, again, his mental is going to make him a little bit better than what his on-field game is. His performance at the combine, his testing numbers, I didn't think quite showed up. But again, I think you get a good player. And again, I used to say the same thing about Harrison Smith in Minnesota. And again, he was a really good player for a long time. He always played better than what his traits put on film. Again, that's why Thieneman ends up going at 25. And again, I think ends up being just a really solid, stable piece on the back end of that secondary.
And your thoughts on Chris Johnson re-entering the league as a running back? I'm kidding.
He probably still run 4.3, so credit to him.
I just saw Chris Johnson. I think I've seen like 3 NFL players named Chris Johnson since Chris Johnson left. Out of this first round, what's your biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise for me? Oh man, that's a good one. It's got to be Mansour Delane at 6.
I kind of thought you'd key in on that one.
No, I'm going to go down. I mean, I'm just running through them real quick. It's for me, it's Blake Miller, Clemson tackle going to Detroit where he did. Again, this is a guy, again, you're pairing a right tackle with a right tackle there. You're pairing a guy that I think I have a lot of athletic questions about him. I think he is more of a back end starter not a first-round player. This is a guy that, again, just creates a lot of questions in Detroit. And, again, there's a lot of moving pieces have to happen to make this happen. And, again, Brad Holmes has done a great job, Dan Campbell. Blake Miller is the surprise pick of the first round for me.
Well, maybe yeah, I guess I can see that there. Now the fantasy in me is coming out a bit. I know you don't play fantasy, you don't know much, or you don't care to know much about it. And much respect to you. I haven't played a fantasy league since I left the industry, but I know what the fans out there want. Kenyon Sadiq, how big an impact will he make with the New York Jets, where all players go to die?
Yeah, I mean, who's your quarterback? I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you want to be a successful wideout, tight end, running back, again, you've got to have a quarterback to throw you the rock. So, again, I'm little. Again, his good plays are going to be good. I think they're just going to be too far and few in between with whoever they end up playing quarterback for them.
Well, I agree. I can't.
You got Geno Smith with the Jets right now at quarterback. So
right now.
Yeah.
And I said that earlier in the draft, Joe. Remember, it's like, I don't care who the player is, who they drafted. They don't have the quarterback to throw them. I can't remember what team we were talking about. Okay. And the best fit that can make the biggest impact from this first round, meaning they hit the team and they hit it with all engines running.
Man, got to come back to Sonny Styles for this one. Again,
yeah, I knew it.
What values with his linebackers, how highly I think of Sonny Styles. Again, I think this is just a home run for them at 7. Adam Peters and Q and that whole scouting staff, Chuck Cook, Roger Terry, Cody Sage, they're going to sleep well tonight, coming out of the first round.
Final question for you from me is Jordan Tyson. Big Joe there was talking about was injury prone in college and all. To me, a wide receiver with that type of track history, and again, I'm coming from the fans' perspective, so I may not be 100% accurate. But what do they see in a player like that to overlook all those injuries? I mean, it just to take a receiver at number 8. I mean, is he that good on that level, on that scale, that they hope that he can just outgrow the injuries?
Yeah, again, the medical team, again, has to be fully behind this. And, again, the medical for this player, again, it seemed to be a little bit of everything. Again, a catastrophic perhaps, again, but, again, a plan to get him right. And, again, to have him together, again, practice time is not going to be what it was in college. Again, the recovery is going to be much better in the NFL. His good plays are good now. Again, this is a wide receiver one that's, not a ton of these in the draft, going 8 overall. Again, to Kellen Moore's offense. Again, this is a good fit. This is a good pick. Again, again, what some people thought was the best wide receiver in this draft. Again, good player going to a good fit.
And the final, I'm sorry, I did have one more question. That freak of a specimen that has never played football. How do you pronounce his name? Uwar Bender, I believe.
Bernard.
I'm sorry, Uwar Bernard. Because I read up on him because of you, and I'm like, oh my God! I saw the video. I was like, oh my God! Everything was like, oh my God! I was telling Joe there was maybe you remember his name, but there was there was a big Adonis, freakish-looking kid that the Jaguars drafted. I don't know, 15, 20 years ago as running back. Didn't make it, but he was built like a rock. Didn't make it as running back. He had quite a few years as a fullback, but he reminded me of that. This kid's analytics or data, you said, it's like they're there, but there's no film on him. So looking at you're the scout, you know what these teams' needs are. I'm putting the GM's hat on your head right now. Which team do you think should take a shot on him and win? Or do you think he goes undrafted?
No, I think he gets drafted. I think he ends up kind of maybe 5th round. Again, maybe somebody gets excited at the end of the 4th round. Again, teams that I think he would find a great home. I think extremely highly of Mike Vrabel. If he went and got to be trained by Mike Vrabel in New England, I think that's an outstanding fit for him. grow, develop, fit into that defensive line there. Again, I think if Robert Saleh gets a long enough runway in Tennessee, he's a great one to learn from, develop, and grow. And then kind of the outside one would be Minnesota. Again, this is a guy that, again, if you just want to get after the quarterback and go and do some things for Brian Flores' defense, just get up the field and go get the quarterback. Again, a lot of freedom to play and do some things. Minnesota could be kind of a sleeper for me.
And your experience is obviously scouting development. How long does it take every player is different. It's hard to answer, but a player like him, what would be your expectations like by year 3, this guy can be a force, by year 2, by year 4, or what's your thoughts on that when you see the film on him or the video from the combine?
Yeah, I'm thinking hopefully I'm getting some snaps out of him in year 3. Again, if we can get him rotational, get him on the field, again, there's going to be a lot of time spent practice, film room, just learning the intricacies, the nuances of the game. And if we can get something out of him in year 3 and then actually start to have a role for him in year 4, again, that's where patient franchises, again, I fully expect Vrabel to be there. Again, the other two, it's hard telling in Minnesota where things go this year. Robert Saleh in Tennessee, again, ownership group has been quick to move on. Again, you're talking about a little less stable there. So stable franchise with a good history of development, Philadelphia, Baltimore, New England. Now I think those are ideal fits for him where, again, there's going to be a lot of stability around him.
Outstanding. That's all I got, brother. I just wanted to come in with some of these rapid questions, not to take away from you, Big Joe, but it's your show. But Rodrik, I want to thank you, and I want to let the audience know. So I've been. Can I ask you one more question? It has nothing to do with the draft. Okay, so I've been around. I had one of the very first fantasy sports companies, then we expanded to do NFL players. We were going to the Senior Bowl combine. We went to all of that. And what happened when the internet blew up was every Tom, Dick, and Harry was a NFL, draft guru all of a sudden. And for the audience, Rodrik is in the war room. He's out on the field. He went to the universities. What's your honest take on all of a sudden the internet has made every Tom, Dick, and Harry a draft guru? How do you handle that from personally as somebody who's gone through the trenches, done it, the real deal, when you have to deal with somebody else in the same room who's not done it? And how do you overcome that to get people to understand, hey, Right Step Advising, we're the real deal here. We're not just a bunch of schmoes watching film from the TV.
Yeah, again, what's happened with the draft coverage, with people getting access to film, watching it, it's good for football. Again, it is because of the NFL and it's gotten big, and again, everybody wants to watch it. Everybody wants to write on it. It's good for football in general. It allows me to have a job still advising because, again, there is so much money, so much interest, so much development. So, again, from that standpoint, it's allowed me to continue doing what I'm doing with Right Step Advising, the Scouting the League podcast, everything I'm doing in the football world. Now, again, there's people like Joe that I come on this show, talk with Joe because Joe gives his opinion and then lets me give mine. And the problem with so many out there is they want to give you their opinion and then tell you why you're wrong and then tell you why they're right. And again, tell you what that team should do. And they know better. And again, that is where it was the same as when I was a scout as it is now. I put them in a certain bucket. Joe goes in a different bucket. Again, it's the people out there that are not willing to have a conversation and just want to tell you that they know better because they watched the movie Draft Day and Jerry Maguire and read a couple books. And again, coming on here and talking about 6 years in the draft room and being on the road for 3 years and, looking at guys like Jeff Okudah and Chase Young and, just the list goes, Antoine Winfield, the list goes, again, 300 to 400 reports every year, the time in pro, sitting there at the Super Bowl, being on the field, watching, James White cross the goal line, again, shoves a knife right through your heart. But again, the experiences, again, they're just, Joe can do everything he can to watch the film. You can't ever sit in a draft room and experience that. And that's always going to be something unique, something that I cherish, something that I value with everything I do.
Where does Joe Bushbaum? I assume you're around when Joe was still alive. People in the at least the older crowd consider Joe Bushbaum, who used to come out with the Pro Football Weekly, that digest one every year. Did you ever have the opportunity to meet him or know of him?
Didn't know him. Didn't get to meet him. Again, I was. I always loved football. I never got into the draft really till I got a little bit older into college. So, but again, definitely know about the draft guides, and I've definitely picked up a few and read them over the years.
And for the audience, Joe Bushbaum was this introverted, nerdy type guy, and he just, Pro Football Weekly at that era was the Bible. Every week, that's where you got your news outside of the three main networks on Sunday. And he became a bit of a legend, and he passed away young. But I think he kind of got that ball rolling for a lot of these draft gurus. But they said that when he passed away, they walked into his apartment, Hub Arkush, and it was just wall-to-wall film. He was able to get the films for years and years. One of the few fans started young that became a legitimate draft guru. But you're right, Rodrik. There's certain things in my industry, being going to all these events. There's when I went to the Senior Bowl, when I went to the Combine, when I went to all these things, it's nothing like the circus it is today. But when I look at all these other fanboys, and I mean nothing negative towards them, I'm like, what you said, I think really hits it. It's that experience you cherish. I was there. I was sitting across the hallway talking to John Clayton or Chris Moore. I opened up to speak to Chris Mortensen once. These are experiences. So I get what you're saying. And it's like, I'll never be able to know what it is to win a Super Bowl ring, So those experiences.
I don't think I will either at this point.
Never say never, brother. You got the chops, you got the gravitas, and we can always hope and pray for you. Joe, I apologize about coming in and hogging your time. And Rodrik, thank you so much for all the work you've done with us for keeping Joe company there and educating our audience. And I enjoyed checking out your videos, and I truly appreciate all the help you've been to us.
Yep. Thanks, Will.
All right, guys. Good night.
Good night, William. All right. And then there was two once again. Thank you, Rodrik. You've been a trooper. Really do appreciate you coming on with me, spending a lot of time in the first round, giving me your experience, your knowledge, and breaking down some of these prospects. It's a truly an honor for me. Having, like you mentioned, like you're a guy that's been there, done that as a scout. You have certain knowledge that people will never understand or never know behind closed doors with how each team works, how they prepare for the draft. And furthermore, I can't wait to do it again. Have you back on the show. Thank you so much, buddy. Really do appreciate it. Yeah. Listen, for the audience that is going to see the end of this show because it's so long. Thank you guys for hanging around, watching. Definitely comment down below if you have any questions in the future that you want me to kind of forward to Rodrik or anything like that. But Rodrik, founder of Right Step Advising, the guy is still in the inner workings of prospects, getting them prepared for the next big step in their careers. Also, co-host of Scouting the League. I beg you, I implore you, if you love football data, information, knowledge that can be handed down, make sure you check out Scouting the League podcast. It is awesome and in great detail. If you want to know the inner workings of the NFL, this is the guy to get the information from. I'm losing my mind. Rodrik, thank you so much, buddy. I'll see you in the next one.
Yep, thanks, Joe. Always enjoy it.
Have a good one. There you have it, everybody. We've made it through the first round, and I got to admit, the first round of this draft has been absolutely, it flew by. I understand it went down to 8 minutes, but man, oh man, had 3 hours. 3 hours went by so quick, way faster than I anticipated. But man, it was pick after pick, trade after trade. Some of these big time players now, we see this every year in the draft, how certain talent keeps falling. And this is no exception for this year. there are still some really good football players that are now going to fall into the second round that were initially deemed as first round talent. And can't wait to see next round. Tomorrow night will be the rounds 2 and 3. Tune in, give us your thoughts. How'd we do? Give us a review. Make sure you subscribe on Grumblings Media. Make sure you like and all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next one.